Chapter 31-29. Although Ouyang Chuanqi used all his means and resources to find some treasures for Ouyang Nong, his injuries were never fully recovered. His cultivation strength was also stuck at the peak of the early stage of heaven rank, and there was no advancement. However, Ouyang Chuanqi wouldn't say it on the surface. If he said it, Ouyang Nong's heart would be even worse. Second Grandpa, I'm fine. Ouyang Nong could deceive others, but he didn't dare to hide anything from his second grandpa who was closer to him than his own grandfather. Fine. What do you mean? What do you mean? Ouyang Chuanqi asked curiously. Second Grandpa, my meridians are fine, Ouyang Nong said excitedly. My injured meridians have healed, and I have touched the barrier of advancement. In these 2 days, I can break through to the middle stage of heaven rank. Oh, your meridians are fine? How are they fine? What kind of adventure did you have? Ouyang Chuanqi was shocked. Logically, he couldn't do anything about Ouyang Nong's meridians, unless the people inside came out. However, although Ouyang Nong was excellent, he didn't deserve their special care, so Ouyang Chuanqi was really surprised. Yes, Second Grandpa, I had an adventure. Someone helped me heal my meridians, but I can't disclose the details. I can't break my promise. Although I know that Second Grandpa will keep it a secret for me, this is a matter of principle. We businessmen value trust. This is the most basic character. Ouyang Nong said. Okay, I understand. I won't ask, but this is a good thing anyway. Ouyang Chuanqi said, I can help you cover it up. Just say that I found some treasures. After you took them, you were healed. And I have to report your recovery. If you advance to the mid-heaven rank, I'll be able to protect you. If you advance to the middle stage of heaven rank, I can consider letting you be more responsible for the Cultivator Trading Association. More responsible? There's no need. Ouyang Nong smiled bitterly and said, Now, I'm afraid I'm too busy. What do you mean? How busy can a person in charge of a marketplace be? Ouyang Chuanqi's tone changed, and he was a little unhappy. Ouyang Nong, have you been idle for too many years after you were injured, and you don't want to improve? Since you have recovered your meridians, your end is definitely not just a vice president. Second Grandpa, you've misunderstood me. Ouyang Nong hurriedly explained, I mean, there's something more important for me to do now. I may not be able to be distracted by other things. Oh, what important thing? Ouyang Chuanqi asked. It's like this. Ouyang Nong told Ouyang Chuanqi about the first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron, including the cooperation with Lin Yi and so on. Ouyang Chuanqi was able to struggle from a grassroots disciple to the second supreme honorary president. Naturally, he was not a simple person. As soon as he heard about this first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron, his eyes immediately turned green. Ouyang Nong. This thing you said, is it real or fake? Why does it sound so unbelievable? Did you see the real thing? I saw it. Not only did I see the real thing, I even had my pill examiner personally test it. The pill was successfully refined in one go. Not only is it full of color, but it also has a pill halo. It can be said that ordinary alchemists can't reach this level, Ouyang Nong said with a wry smile. To be honest, he also had such concerns at the beginning. After all, this thing was a bit too fantastical, but after seeing it with his own eyes, he knew that this thing was really so magical. Oh my God! Ouyang Chuanqi was astute. He exclaimed in shock. What did this thing represent? Ouyang Nong knew, and Ouyang Chuanqi naturally knew even more. No wonder Ouyang Nong said that there was no time. It turned out to be because of this thing. However, Ouyang Chuanqi suddenly thought of something. He slapped his forehead and said, Xiao Nong, bring that first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron to me as soon as possible. I'm going to look for the Supreme Honorary President now. Once this medicinal cauldron comes out, it will inevitably cause a stagnant sales of first-grade medicinal pills. In this way, we must stop receiving first-grade medicinal pills from the Heavenly Elixir Sect. Although the Heavenly Elixir Sect came over for free, the Cultivator Trading Association was embarrassed to let them continue to send medicinal pills over endlessly. Chapter 31-30. Remember, you didn't call me today. I didn't know about the first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron. You can bring the first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron to me and President Da 3 days later. I will pretend that I didn't know about it beforehand. Ouyang Chuanqi said. Okay, second grandpa, I understand, Ouyang Nong said solemnly. After hanging up the phone, Ouyang Chuanqi directly dialed Kang Mingming's phone. President Ouyang, hello. What's the matter? Kang Mingming received a call from Ouyang Chuanqi and asked in fear and trepidation. It's nothing. I just wanted to tell you that the first-grade medicinal pills are quite popular recently. If you still have some, send some to me. I'm afraid that the stock isn't enough to sell, Ouyang Chuanqi said casually. I don't have any in stock, but President Ouyang can rest assured that I can refine it very quickly. I will ask someone to refine it, and it will be delivered soon, Kang Mingming said quickly. Oh, then you have to hurry. If there's no stock here, then we'll have to buy from other sources. After all, we, the Practitioners Trading Association, can't say no to money, Ouyang Chuanqi said casually, but it shocked Kang Jiaoming. If Ouyang Chuanqi really imported from other sources, then wouldn't Kang Mingming and old ancestor Xuanzhen's efforts be in vain? At the end of the day, Lin Yi was only one person, and he didn't have many elixirs in his hands. The Practitioners Trading Association would be able to take all of them in one go, and Kang Jiaoming wouldn't even be able to cry if that happened. Don't worry, President Ouyang. We will work overnight to process a large batch of first-grade medicinal pills and send them to you. Kang Mingming was scared and said quickly. That's good. Then I will wait for you. Ouyang Chuanqi said, I will give you 3 days. 3 days, that's enough. Kang Mingming suddenly breathed a sigh of relief. Ouyang Chuanqi hung up the phone, and a sneer flashed across his mouth. He valued Ouyang Nong very much. He was now a person with 1 foot in the heavenly Tao. Before the opportunity of the Heaven Step Island arrived, he had no other pursuits. His only thought was on Ouyang Nong. Ouyang Nong's injury was an eternal pain in his heart. Now that he had recovered, he was very happy. Therefore, he was extremely grateful to Ouyang Nong's benefactor. As long as he could do it, he would not refuse. Setting up the Heavenly Elixir sect in the dark without affecting the overall interests of the Cultivator Trading Association, Ouyang Chuanqi agreed. As for Kang Jiaoming, he hung up the phone. After that, the entire sect mobilized. Be it the disciples of the Five Elements sect or the Heavenly Elixir sect, as long as they were free, they began to refine a large number of first-grade elixirs. This time, Kang Mingming and Patriarch Shenchen had gone all out. He took out almost all the liquid funds of the Five Elements sect and bought the materials for the first-grade pills. It wasn't that the Patriarch of the Shenchen world was foolish and easily deceived, but it was mainly because in his opinion, the Patriarch of the Shenchen world was a fool. After all, the spirit-gathering pill was a very popular pill among the hidden aristocratic families, normal sects, and even ancient sects. They were all in short supply, so it was impossible to make a loss when refining pills. No matter how shrewd Patriarch Shenchen was. It was also impossible for him to imagine the existence of something as heaven-defying as a first-grade automatic medicine cauldron. Such a thing simply did not exist in his mind. Therefore, Patriarch Shenchen didn't think too much about it. He directly ordered Kang Mingming to find someone to refine a large number of first-grade pills. It didn't matter if he couldn't sell them for the time being, as long as he could stop Lin Yi from selling them. Lin Yi's pills were all gone, and the first-grade pills of the Heavenly Elixir sect could be sold for 3 to 5 years. They would eventually be sold out. It was very difficult for other ancient sects and hidden aristocratic families to refine a first-grade pill. Even if they could refine it, the success rate was very low. However, for the disciples of the Five Elements sect and the Heavenly Elixir sect, it was a piece of cake. Their refining speed was also very fast. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. Kang Mingming had also led people to refine tens of thousands of first-grade pills, using up all the liquid funds of the Five Elements sect. Haha, father-in-law, let's see if Lin Yi will die this time. With so many first-grade pills, it's enough to sell for 3 to 5 years. We're not in a hurry. Let's let the Cultivator Trade Association sell them slowly and suffocate Lin Yi to death. Kang Ming said excitedly as he looked at the medicine boxes piled up like a small mountain in front of him. All right, bring some people to send these pills to the Cultivator Trade Association now. Patriarch Shen Chen nodded and said, Yes, father-in-law, I'll send it right away. Kang Ming quickly nodded and said yes. This was a good opportunity to show his face. If he could interact with the Cultivator Trade Association more, he would be able to gain a firm foothold in the Five Elements sect and the Heavenly Elixir sect and become the new generation's leader. Kang Ming brought 2 disciples and rushed to the Cultivator Trade Association excitedly. He met the Great Elder Honorary President, Shen Jiutian, and the Second Elder Honorary President, Ouyang Chuanqi. Kang Ming of the Heavenly Elixir sect greets President Shun and President Ouyang. Kang Ming said respectfully, Elder Kang, you've worked hard. President Shun nodded and gestured for Kang Ming to sit down and talk. Your Heavenly Elixir sect's pills are selling very well, but why did you bring so many this time? Kang Ming naturally couldn't say that it was to replace Lin Yi's market. If he said it, President Shun might not know who Lin Yi was. Besides, this kind of private hatred couldn't be said in public. So, Kang Ming just smiled and said, Haha, the disciples in the sect have nothing to do recently, so I let them practice alchemy. So, we refined a little more, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, the pills are consumables. They won't spoil because of storage for a long time, so we can sell them slowly. We are not in a hurry to get money. Although refining these elixirs had almost used up the Five Elements sect's liquid funds, Kang Jiaoming wasn't worried. After all, the elixirs in the Cultivator Trade Association were sold every day. In a month or so, they would be able to get back a sum of money, which was enough to cover their expenses. That's true. President Shen nodded, then said to Ouyang Chuanqi, President Ouyang, you are in charge of the inspection of the pills. You can ask Elder Kang's people to send the pills to the warehouse and check them. Okay, President Shen. Ouyang Chuanqi nodded and was about to get up. At this time, a disciple of the Cultivator Trade Association walked in, reporting to President Shen, President Ouyang, Vice President Ouyang Nong is here to see you. The disciple was obviously President Shen's confidant, so he didn't avoid such an occasion and came in directly. Chapter 31:31. Oh! President Shen wanted to finish the matter at hand before summoning Ouyang Nong. However, Ouyang Nong wasn't like others. He was Ouyang Chuanqi's grandson. Hence, President Shen gave Ouyang Chuanqi face and said to the disciple, Okay, let Ouyang Nong come in. Yes. The disciple nodded and left. Ouyang Chuanqi was about to get up and then sat down. He would wait for Ouyang Nong to come. However, Ouyang Chuanqi was a little amused. This Ouyang Nong really knows how to seize the opportunity, but this is also good. With Kang Ming present, people won't say that he did something behind the scenes. In this way, everyone could see it. There was nothing to hide. If Kang Ming went back and said it, Heavenly Elixir sect could only suffer in silence. President Shen, President Ouyang, disciple Ouyang Nong greets the 2 elders. Ouyang Nong walked in and said respectfully. He ignored Kang Ming, but Kang Ming didn't think much about it. After all, he was an internal member of the Cultivator Trading Association. It was normal that he didn't know him. Ouyang Nong, why are you here? Is there anything important? Why didn't I hear you mention it beforehand? President Shen was a little puzzled. After all, these vice presidents were usually stationed in their respective markets and territories. They would only come back if there was something important. It was just that Ouyang Nong didn't call in advance. Could it be that he contacted Ouyang Chuanqi in advance? However, when President Shun looked at Ouyang Chuanqi, he saw that Ouyang Chuanqi was also surprised and curious. He dispelled this idea. It seemed that Ouyang Chuanqi didn't know about this in advance. President Shun, President Ouyang, this time I came here for an important matter. I didn't call in advance because this matter is too important. I want to report to you personally. Ouyang Nong said respectfully. Oh, what's the matter? President Shun suddenly became interested. Since Ouyang Nong said so, it proved that it wasn't a small matter. It's like this. There is a customer who wants to cooperate with our Cultivator Trading Association to sell a kind of godly artifact. Ouyang Nong said. This matter, you can handle it yourself. There's no need to come personally for a godly artifact, right? Just make a phone call? President Shen asked curiously. Yeah, Xiaonong, you have to learn to be independent. You can't look for me and Grandpa Shen for everything. How can you grow like this? Ouyang Chuanqi also said. No, there is more than one heaven-defying divine tool. Ouyang Nong said, this is a heaven-defying divine tool that can be mass-produced. Mass production? How is that heaven-defying? President Shen was taken aback. He asked. Yes. Just like this pill. How can something that can be mass-produced be called heaven-defying? Ouyang Chuanqi also said in cooperation. President Shen, President Ouyang, although this thing can be mass-produced, it can't be mass-produced. Ouyang Nong proudly said, this thing is called a first-grade automatic medicine cauldron. First-grade automatic cauldron? What's that? President Shen was taken aback. He had never heard of a divine artifact with such a name. It's a type of cauldron that can automatically refine pills. Ouyang Nong said. Automatically refining a first-grade pill? President Shen widened his eyes and looked at Ouyang Nong in disbelief. Ouyang Nong, are you talking nonsense? A medicinal cauldron that can automatically refine pills? Did I hear it wrong? How can there be such a thing? If this thing can automatically refine pills, then what's the use of alchemists? Yes, Xiao Nong, you didn't get cheated, did you? This elder Kang Ming Ming in front of you is an elder of the Heavenly Elixir sect. Ask Elder Kang if he has ever heard of such a thing. Ouyang Chuanqi also pointed at Kang Ming Ming in shock and said. Kang Ming Ming listened to Ouyang Nong's words and was also very surprised. First-grade automatic medicine cauldron? How can such a thing exist in the world? Was this some kind of international joke? At this moment, when he heard Ouyang Chuanqi's question, he immediately replied, yes, what first-grade automatic medicine cauldron? Did Mr. Ouyang get cheated? I have never heard of such a medicine cauldron in the Heavenly Elixir sect. You know, the first-grade and second-grade medicine cauldrons on the market are all made by our Heavenly Elixir sect. We are manufacturers, but we have never heard of any automatic alchemy medicine cauldron. If there is such a thing, how can our Heavenly Elixir sect not know? Ouyang Nong glanced at Kang Ming Ming, but spat out 4 words that made Kang Ming Ming almost vomit blood, ignorant and ill-informed. You, Pete. I am too lazy to argue with people like you. You are cheated and still help others to earn money. You are a typical example. Kang Ming Ming said angrily. Elder Kang, please calm down. Let me ask Ouyang Nong, what is going on? President Shen waved his hand at Kang Ming Ming, motioning him to calm down, and then turned to look at Ouyang Nong. Xiaonong, tell me, what is going on? You are usually a smart person. How can you be confused at this time? How can such a thing exist? Facts speak louder than words. President Shen, wait a minute. After watching my demonstration, you will understand what is going on. Ouyang Nong didn't argue. He just waved his hand and made a gesture to the back, then pointed to Xiao Kong, who was walking over from the door, and said, this is our market's alchemy tester, Xiao Kong. President Shen and President Ouyang both remember him, right? Yes, I remember him. At that time, he was the person I assigned to you. Ouyang Chuanqi nodded and said, I have an impression. President Shen didn't have any impression, but he still knew about the alchemy tester. He was even more puzzled. Ouyang Nong, do you mean that your first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron was tested by Xiao Kong? But, Ouyang Nong nodded. Silly. President Shen said with a dumbfounded expression, Ouyang Nong, think about it. An alchemy tester hasn't even touched the medicinal cauldron a few times. How can he help you test the medicinal cauldron? He doesn't understand, right? President Shen, I have said it. You can continue watching. Ouyang Nong said to Xiao Kong, refine a spirit-gathering pill for them. Yes, Vice President Ouyang. Xiao Kong responded. After that, he took out the first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron from his backpack. In front of everyone, He placed it on the ground in front of them and sat cross-legged. What kind of medicinal cauldron is this? President Shun, President Ouyang, and Kang Ming looked at the thing that Xiao Kong took out in surprise. They didn't know what it was. Chapter 31-32. Then, he took out the refining materials for the spirit-gathering pill from his backpack and put them into the medicinal cauldron. Then, he closed the lid of the medicinal cauldron and turned on the switch of the first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron. Beep sounded, and the first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron was successfully started. Xiao Kong chose to refine the spirit-gathering pill. Then, according to the prompts on the LCD screen, he condensed the alchemy fire and began refining the elixir. This series of actions made the people present stunned. Even though Ouyang Chuanqi had heard Ouyang Nong talk about the situation of this medicinal cauldron before, he was still very shocked at this moment. Isn't this too intelligent? Why does it look like a smart rice cooker now? Put in rice, press a button, and then everything will be automatic. President Shun, Ouyang Chuanqi, and even Kang Ming came to Xiao Kong's side and watched him refine the elixir. If it was in the past, Xiao Kong would definitely be nervous, leading to the failure of the alchemy. But now, it wouldn't be. Everything had prompts, and Xiao Kong wasn't afraid of missing anything. President Shun, Ouyang Chuanqi, and Kang Ming also saw the content on the screen. They looked at Xiao Kong's serious look, and gradually believed in this high-tech artifact in front of them. Kang Ming's face didn't look too good. The emergence of this first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron was a huge impact on the elixir market, especially for Kang Ming. It was even bad news. He had refined so many first-grade elixir. If everyone could refine elixir through the first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron in the future, then who would buy elixir from the heavenly elixir sect? Therefore, Kang Ming kept praying in his heart. It's a lie, it's a lie. Xiao Kong skillfully completed the last step, and then he breathed a sigh of relief. According to the prompts on the screen, he put away the alchemy fire and said, "Okay, the elixir is done. President Shun, President Ouyang, and Vice President Ouyang, please inspect it." "Oh, it's done." President Shun was shocked. "You haven't opened the medicinal cauldron. How do you know it's done?" "Yes, little Kong, if I remember correctly, you're the one who brought me here. Although you can control the alchemy fire, because your body lacks the wood attribute, you can only be a pill tester and not an alchemist. How can you refine pills?" Ouyang Chuanqi also asked. President Shun, President Ouyang, this is the power of a Grade 1 automatic medicine cauldron. As long as you can control the pill fire, it doesn't matter if you are proficient in refining pills, or if you don't have the wood attribute in your body, as long as you can change the temperature of the pill fire as you wish. He would be able to use a first-grade automatic medicine cauldron to refine pills. Moreover, it has a 100% success rate. There is no possibility of a defective pill. As he spoke, Xiao Kong opened the lid of the first-grade automatic medicine cauldron. Immediately, the room was filled with a fragrant aroma. A round, plump spirit-gathering pill with a faint glow entered everyone's eyes. This. Kang Ming pointed at the elixir in Xiao Kong's hand in disbelief. How is this possible? This was illogical, absolutely illogical. What first-grade automatic medicine cauldron? It's all a lie, an illusion. You must be an experienced alchemist. Are you pretending that you don't have the wood attribute? What's your intention? Elder Kang, I remember that Xiao Kong doesn't have the wood attribute in his body. If you don't believe me, you can check it yourself, Ouyang Chuanqi said with some displeasure. I'll check it. Kang Ming didn't care whether Ouyang Chuanqi's tone was good or not. He had to figure it out and expose this scam. As he spoke, he grabbed Xiao Kong's hand and began to check it. However, he was shocked when he checked it. Because Xiao Kong's body really didn't have the wood attribute, only the fire attribute. This, impossible. Kang Ming finished checking and he didn't believe it. He pointed at Xiao Kong and said, even if you don't have the wood attribute, you have the fire attribute and can refine the spirit-gathering pill. Practice makes perfect. If you refine a few more times and master the feeling, you can also succeed. Don't think that I don't know. Xiao Kong frowned and said, this is my second time refining. Vice President Ouyang can testify. Yes, Xiao Kong is indeed refining the spirit-gathering pill for the second time. Ouyang Nong nodded and said affirmatively. Xiao Kong had refined one before. Ouyang Nong didn't let him continue to refine other elixirs in the past 2 days in order to let him have enough physical strength for today's performance. You are all in the same group. How can I believe what you say? Kang Mingming waved his hand and said to Xiao Kong, if you have the ability, refine another elixir for me. Refine a resurrection pill. No, refine a qi recovery pill. The so-called qi recovery pill was a kind of elixir that could quickly restore physical strength and true qi. Because the recovery effect wasn't obvious, and it was only effective for golden phase masters, almost no alchemists would refine this unpopular elixir. After all, there was no market for this thing. Golden phase masters in sects were all ordinary disciples. They rarely used the qi recovery pill in battles. Those golden phase masters in the secular world didn't have the means to buy these elixirs. Therefore, this qi recovery pill was very rare. Even Kang Mingming didn't dare to say that he could successfully refine it in one try. After all, he had never refined it before and didn't even know how to do it. President Shen didn't stop Kang Mingming's words. After all, he was also skeptical at the moment. Therefore, he also wanted to verify whether the automatic medicine cauldron in Xiao Kong's hands could refine other first-grade elixirs. It can be refined. Xiao Kong glanced at the menu on the first-grade automatic medicine cauldron. There was indeed an option of qi recovery pill, so he nodded and said, but I don't have the materials for the qi recovery pill. Go and prepare a few sets of materials for first-grade elixirs, including the qi recovery pill. President Shen pointed to a disciple who was on standby not far away and ordered him. Yes. The disciple nodded and ran off to prepare. When Kang Mingming heard Xiao Kong's words, his heart skipped a beat. He suddenly had a bad feeling. After all, Xiao Kong's promise was too straightforward. However, Kang Mingming still encouraged himself and said, you don't have to show off. We'll talk after you refine it. After a while, the disciple came back with a few bags in his hands. They must be filled with all kinds of first-grade elixirs. President Shen, these are the materials for the qi recovery pill. These are the materials for other first-grade elixirs. The disciple handed the bags in his hands to President Shen. President Shen nodded and took the materials for the qi recovery pill. He handed them to Xiao Kong and placed the rest on the ground. Xiao Kong, can you refine the qi recovery pill now? Chapter 31-33. Subsequently, Xiao Kong covered the lid and selected the option of qi recovery pill. According to the instructions above, he condensed the alchemy fire and began to refine the qi recovery pill. Looking at Xiao Kong operating the first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron calmly, Kang Mingming had a bad feeling in his heart. Could it be that he could really refine the qi recovery pill? The people present, except for Ouyang Nong and Xiao Kong who knew the truth, even Ouyang Chuanqi widened his eyes and looked at Xiao Kong's alchemy without blinking. He also wanted to know if the alchemy could be successful this time. Phew, the pill is done. Xiao Kong put away the alchemy fire and directly opened the lid of the first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron. He didn't even look at it and said directly. His words were full of confidence, or rather, confidence in the first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron. It's really done. President Shen saw the qi recovery pill in the medicinal cauldron and said in shock, this first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron is actually real. This is really a heaven-defying artifact. How is this possible? It's absolutely impossible. Kang Mingming's face was livid. No, I have to try it myself. Otherwise, I will think that you are cheating. Xiao Kong was in a difficult position. He looked up at Vice President Ouyang. After all, this medicinal cauldron was not a joke. What if it was broken? Ouyang Nong hesitated for a moment and then made a decision. Xiao Kong, let him use it. This medicinal cauldron won't be broken, but you have to tell Elder Kang how to use it. Okay. Xiao Kong saw that Ouyang Nong agreed, so he nodded. Although he was reluctant to use this person who always doubted him, since Ouyang Nong had spoken, he could only do as he was told. Kang Mingming took the first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron. Suppressing the disdain in his heart, he reminded himself that he had to figure out if this thing was really useful. This was a big deal. He had to go back and immediately report to the Shenzhen Patriarch and ask the Shenzhen Patriarch to make a decision. Therefore, he listened carefully to Xiao Kong's introduction about the use of the first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron. Then he picked up a bag of first-grade elixir materials on the ground and took a look. It was an elixir that he had never refined before, body tempering pill. Another useless accumulation of medicinal pills. The body tempering pill was the simplified version of the foundation building pill. Basically, no one would refine it because its effect was worse than the foundation building pill. Even if it was refined, no one would need it. However, the more unpopular this kind of medicinal pill was, the more it was worth it. The happier Kang Mingming was. He had never refined it before. Only then would he be able to better reflect the usefulness of this first-grade automatic medicine cauldron, and whether it could automatically refine pills. Kang Mingming placed the herbs for the body tempering pill into the cauldron and followed Xiao Kong's instructions. He activated the first-grade automatic cauldron and chose the refining method of the body tempering pill. Then, he began to condense his Dan fire to refine the body tempering pill. Very soon, Kang Mingming realized that this method of alchemy was too simple. He did not need to waste his brain at all. Perception and what not were all fleeting clouds. He only needed to follow the instructions on the cauldron and change the temperature of the alchemy fire. There was no difficulty at all. Finally, Kang Mingming followed the instructions and finished refining the body tempering pill. After he opened the cauldron, his heart sank slightly. As expected, the refinement was successful. Looking at the incomparably round and plump first-grade body tempering pill in the cauldron, Kang Mingming did not know whether to laugh or cry. The refinement of this first-grade pill was successful, but Kang Mingming did not want it to be a success. This was because success meant that the situation of the Heavenly Elixir sect being the dominant sect would be completely changed. Moreover, Kang Mingming suddenly remembered that he had refined a large number of first-grade pills. Once this medicine cauldron appeared, who would buy these first-grade pills? Kang Mingming subconsciously glanced at the number of pills that the first-grade medicine cauldron could refine. 10 types. There were actually 10 types. Excluding the 3 uncommon and unpopular pills, the other 7 pills were all covered by the first-grade pills that Kang Mingming had given him. This was simply a scam. Kang Mingming almost threw the medicine cauldron in his hand. If he did not know that this medicine cauldron was priceless, Kang Mingming would have smashed it. I'm leaving first. Kang Mingming was anxious to go back and report this matter to Elder Shenzhen, so he did not intend to stay any longer. Wait, Elder Kang, I'm afraid we don't need so many of these first-grade pills. Ouyang Chuanqi stopped Kang Mingming and said, "This." Kang Mingming was really afraid of what would happen, but he still forced himself to calm down and said, "It's okay. Let's sell it here first. After all, there is only one of this medicine cauldron. Doesn't mass production require time?" However, when he said this, Kang Mingming's expression was uglier than crying. He was not confident in his heart, so he could only take one step at a time. That's good too. President Shen nodded and said, "After all, this is a luxury item. The price is definitely very high. Many sects cannot afford it." That's true. After listening to President Shen's words, Kang Mingming suddenly felt relieved. Yes, the price of this thing will definitely not be cheap. In this way, Kang Mingming was relieved of the burden in his heart. Even if this thing is high, so what? The cost is high. Just like everyone knows that factories are cheap to make things, you certainly can't build a factory just because it's cheap, right? Or rather, if you open a restaurant, you can't grow your own vegetables and breed, right? After Kang Mingming left the medicine cauldron, he left with his followers. In the hall, at this moment, President Shen, Ouyang Chuanqi, Ouyang Nong, Xiao Kong, and others were left. Ouyang Nong, where did this heaven-defying medicine cauldron come from? President Shen asked curiously. To be honest, President Shen, this first-grade automatic medicine cauldron came from a friend of mine. His company invented this first-grade automatic medicine cauldron, and he cooperated with us. Ouyang Nong said. Oh. What company? Which sect is he from? Not only is he proficient in alchemy, but he can also make such a heaven-defying medicine cauldron. Ouyang Chuanqi also asked in surprise. His name is Lin Yi, and his company is called Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Company. Ouyang Nong said, I believe that President Shun and President Ouyang are familiar with this name. Chapter 31-34. However, he didn't expect to hear the name of this company from Ouyang Nong again. Plus, he'd heard of Lin Yi's name as well. Lin Yi's name was quite famous in the ancient world these days, and even if he wasn't famous, he'd still heard of him. He'd shown his strength in the test, defeating the disciple of the everyday sect, Zhong Naipao. That was enough to give him the right to be proud. This Lin Yi, isn't he a freelancer? And Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company, if I remember correctly, is that a company in the common world? Back then, Elder Kang Mingming's company was run by this company and went bankrupt, wasn't it? Ouyang Chuanqi thought of something as well. His face turned serious as he yelled at Ouyang Nong, Ouyang Nong, Lin Yi and Kang Mingming have a grudge against each other, don't let them use you. Kang Jiaoming gave us so many first-level pills, and then you came back with a first-level automatic cauldron. Isn't it obvious that you don't want Kang Jiaoming to have a good time? If these words were said by others, President Shun would definitely think that Ouyang Chuanqi and Ouyang Nong had premeditated it in advance. However, these words were said by Ouyang Chuanqi. It was different. If this matter was really related to Ouyang Chuanqi, how could he say these words? If he didn't say it, President Shun wouldn't have thought of this. Now that he said it, President Shun thought of the hidden meaning. Since this was the case, President Shun eliminated the possibility that Ouyang Chuanqi knew about this beforehand. President Ouyang, how could Xiao Nong know that Kang Mingming would come today? How could he be so accurate that he arrived right after Kang Mingming came? President Shun turned to Xiao Kong and asked, Xiao Kong, you came all the way here and came straight to see me, right? Ah, yes. Xiao Kong, who was fiddling with the Grade 1 automatic cauldron in his hands, heard President Shun's question. He answered quickly. Xiao Kong was just an ordinary disciple. His love for a first-grade automatic medicine cauldron was written all over his face. President Shun could tell at a glance that he was not lying. Therefore, he was even more certain of his guess, but he still asked, Xiaonong, do you know that there is hatred between Lin Yi and Kang Mingming? I know. Ouyang Nong nodded readily. You know? President Shun's expression changed slightly. He frowned and said, if you know, why didn't you tell me in advance? At this moment, Ouyang Chuanqi's face changed slightly. He didn't know what Ouyang Nong was trying to do. Ah! Ouyang Nong was stunned for a moment before saying, previously, the pills from our market. They were all supplied by Mr. Lin Yi. Previously, Mr. Lin Yi brought some Tier 1 and Tier 2 elixirs for me to sell, but our Cultivator Trade Association has already exclusively used the elixirs sent by Heavenly Elixir Sect's Elder Kang. So, I could only refuse Mr. Lin Yi and tell Mr. Lin Yi about the situation. So, Mr. Lin Yi was quite angry at that time. He seemed to hate this Elder Kang very much. That's it. President Shun asked with a strange expression after listening. Yeah, isn't this a grudge? Ouyang Nong smiled bitterly. However, this isn't a big deal. I didn't think much about it at the time. Later, Mr. Lin Yi brought me a first-grade automatic medicine cauldron. After I dealt with the market's matters, I rushed over to meet President Shun and President Ouyang in person to explain this matter. Oh, then why didn't you call before? President Shun asked. This kind of thing, if I didn't see it with my own eyes, would you believe me if I called you or President Ouyang? Ouyang Nong spread his hands and said helplessly, that's true. President Shun nodded. Ouyang Nong, you have a good relationship with this Lin Yi? Yes, I have always been working with him. I'm sorry for rejecting him last time, but the rules of the Cultivator Trade Association can't be broken. So, I could only reject him. However, this time, I saw Kang Mingming suffer a setback. From a selfish point of view, I'm still quite happy, Ouyang Nong said. Ouyang Nong's words were open and above board. Although he was a little narrow-minded, he said what he wanted to say. President Shun's remaining doubts dissipated. So, he said, well, this thing, How much can Lin Yi's company produce? If this thing is auctioned, it will probably sell for a sky-high price. The classification of this first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron is like this. There are single edition, 5-in-1 edition, and the 10-in-1 limited edition in my hand. As Ouyang Nong spoke, he told the classification of the first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron to President Shun and Ouyang Chuanqi. After President Shun heard it, he also knew that Lin Yi probably pulled the Cultivator Trade Association as a backer and cooperated to sell it. However, the cooperation was only for the limited edition. However, President Shun didn't mind. This kind of heaven-defying thing could also attract some popularity if it was auctioned in the Cultivator Trade Association. Everyone could make money, so why not? Okay, Xiaonong, you will be fully responsible for the auction and publicity of this first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron in the future. I will assign you a few disciples who are proficient in alchemy to help you. President Shun said. Thank you, President Shun. Ouyang Nong was very happy. It seemed that he had muddled through today. President Shun didn't doubt him at all. Ouyang Nong left with Xiao Kong to work on the publicity. Kang Mingming returned to Five Elements sect immediately and went to Ancestor Xuanshen's room. Father-in-law, it's not good. Something big has happened. Kang Mingming didn't care about etiquette and said hurriedly. Oh. What happened? Ancestor Shen Chen looked at Kang Mingming's appearance and knew that something big had happened. Otherwise, Kang Mingming wouldn't have lost his composure like this. Recently, Kang Mingming had been training in Five Elements sect and Heavenly Elixir sect. He had become a little calmer. He wasn't as impetuous as he was in the beginning. He had also experienced many big storms. The Cultivator Trade Association has created a first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron that can automatically refine first-grade elixirs. In this way, who are we going to sell our first-grade elixirs to? Kang Mingming said with a sad face. Oh. What first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron? There's such a thing. It can automatically refine first-grade elixirs? Zhao Ming, are you sure you didn't hear it wrong? Ancestor Shen Chen frowned. This term sounded extremely absurd to his ears. A medicinal cauldron can be automatic. What's the use of alchemists then? It's true. I didn't hear it. I saw it with my own eyes. Kang Mingming said, moreover, I also tested it. It can really refine elixirs. Even the first-grade elixirs that I haven't refined before can be successfully refined in one go. Chapter 31-35. It's like this. Kang Mingming quickly told Patriarch Shen Chen everything he knew. Patriarch Xuanshen's face turned terrifyingly gloomy after hearing Kang Mingming's words. There's really such a heaven-defying Grade 1 medicine cauldron? Which force invented this? Did you find out which force invented this? Patriarch Shen Chen asked. No, they didn't mention the situation at the time, so it wasn't appropriate for me to ask, Kang Mingming said. I just wanted to come back quickly to inform them, so I left first. I'll go find out about this. Patriarch Shen Chen nodded. What about our Grade 1 pills? We left them at the Cultivator Trade Fair for the time being. It's useless to take them back since they've been sent over such a long journey. It's not easy for us to sell them ourselves, so we have to rely on them to sell them. When Kang Mingming said this, his expression suddenly changed. Father-in-law, do you think it's possible that these bastards from the Cultivator Trading Association deliberately tricked us? They made us refine so many Grade 1 pills and then made a Grade 1 automatic medicine cauldron. Isn't this a trap? It's a trap. Trap who? Patriarch Shen Chen frowned and glared at Kang Mingming. How dare Kang Mingming call himself father in front of me? Ah! Father-in-law, you're my father-in-law, so aren't you my father? What I mean is, the Cultivator Trading Association is tricking you. Kang Mingming said quickly. The Cultivator Trading Association is tricking me. Patriarch Shen Chen pondered for a moment and said, logically speaking, it shouldn't be possible. We didn't draw from the Cultivator Trading Association. On the contrary, we've been working together. Moreover, from what you said before, be it Shen Zhoutian or Ouyang Chuanqi, they didn't know that Ouyang Nong had gotten a medicine cauldron. They just found out like you. I know Shen Zhoutian. He has always valued the reputation of the Cultivator Trading Association. He definitely wouldn't do such a thing that harms others without benefiting himself. That's true. At that time, both President Shun and President Ouyang were skeptical about the cauldron that Vice President Ouyang took out. Kang Mingming nodded. That's why I said that the Cultivator Trading Association wouldn't do such a thing given its reputation. In my opinion, this is either an emergency, or the person who provided the Cultivator Trading Association with a first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron is targeting us from behind. Patriarch Shen Chen came to this conclusion after analyzing. Father-in-law, what should we do now? Kang Mingming asked. I'll ask around first, said Patriarch Black Earth. In the next few days, be it the Ancient Era or the Hidden Era, they all received news from the Cultivator Trade Association. The Cultivator Trade Association had released a new auction item, a first-grade automatic medicine cauldron that could automatically refine elixirs. This news was like a clap of thunder, immediately spreading to all the ancient and hidden planes. It was because this thing was too heaven-defying, it was impossible not to pay attention to it. Alchemists had always been the weakness of the Ancient Era sects and hidden families. This was also the reason why the Hidden Yu family and the Heavenly Elixir sect had many rogue cultivators who sought refuge with them. Although the alchemists themselves weren't strong, once they formed a certain scale, there would definitely be people who sought refuge with them. However, if one's own sect or family could also refine elixirs in the future, wouldn't it reduce the probability of their own family or sect's hangers-on defecting to others? Although everyone was skeptical about this news, in the following days, the Cultivator Trade Association planned to hold an exhibition of first-grade automatic medicinal cauldrons. This made those who doubted and those who didn't doubt it want to go and see for themselves. This time, even Patriarch Black Earth and Patriarch Black Earth disguised themselves as ordinary people to attend the exhibition. After all, there were many disciples who came to visit. It was difficult to be recognized even if they wore makeup. Patriarch Black Earth brought Kang Mingming to one side, while Patriarch Black Earth brought Tian Chan to the other side. After Ouyang Nong's impassioned speech, Little Kong carefully took out a medicinal cauldron from his backpack. This strange medicinal cauldron was, of course, a first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron. However, when she saw the LCD screen on the cauldron, Tian Chan's eyes flashed with surprise. Beside her, Patriarch Black Earth was also shocked. This was because both of them thought of the same thing at the same time. It was Patriarch Black Earth's modified third-grade medicinal cauldron that was specially used to refine the elixirs of the Heavenly Island plan. This thing, why is it so similar to Master's strange third-grade medicinal cauldron? Isn't it strange? Tian Chan asked. I feel that there's a connection, but let's take a look first. Patriarch Black Earth pointed at the stage and said. Next, Little Kong performed the alchemy on the spot. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, he threw the ingredients for the first-grade soul-gathering pill into the medicinal cauldron and began to refine the elixir. Then, the elixir was formed, and the fragrance filled the air. The quality was excellent. This caused everyone present to click their tongues in wonder. Previously, Ouyang Nong had already said that Little Kong was only a pill tester, and his body only had the fire attribute, not the wood attribute. This caused most of the people present to believe in the magic of this first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron. After all, many people knew Little Kong and knew that he was a pill tester. Even though his body did not have the wood attribute, there were still some people who were skeptical and wanted to try it themselves. However, under Little Kong's guidance, these people successfully refined first-grade elixirs. This caused everyone present to finally believe in the magic of the first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron. Seeing this, Tian Chan and Patriarch Black Earth looked at each other and saw the astonishment in each other's eyes. Master, this first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron is much more advanced than your third-grade magical cauldron. This is completely an electronic display, and it can refine more than one type of elixir. Yours is only a single one, Tian Chan said. This thing, who in the world invented it? Patriarch Black Earth was also incomparably surprised. After all, this was too similar to his medicinal cauldron. He couldn't help but think of the little girl he met in the past. She should be younger than Tian Chan. Could it be that she invented it? Of course, what everyone sees is a demonstration item. The real auction item can only be auctioned after a while. Although the function of the auction item does not change, there is a restriction, and that is that it can only be used by one alchemist. When the alchemist uses it for the first time, the alchemist's Zhenqi information will be recorded, and it will be useless for other people to use it. Ouyang Nong said, I hope everyone understands. Chapter 31-36. But before the auction, I want to make one thing clear. This first-level automatic cauldron is jointly sold by us, the Cultivator Trade Association, and the Miracle Doctor Guan Medical Company in the secular world. The seller in the secular world is the Liu family. Ouyang Nong's words caused a huge uproar. Liu family in the secular world. Miracle Doctor Guan Medical Company. Everyone present was familiar with the people behind these two families. It was Lin Yi, the solo cultivator who had been in the limelight recently. Lin Yi. Kang Ming spat out these two words fiercely. As expected, it's our enemy. It seems like we've wronged the Cultivator Trade Association. Elder Shen Chen heard the name of the Miracle Doctor Guan Medical Company and immediately thought of Lin Yi. Lin Yi had a good reason for doing this. Since they were taking over his medicinal pill market, he would make it so that they couldn't sell their medicinal pills. Father-in-law, what should we do? Kang Ming gritted his teeth in anger. Lin Yi again. He did not expect that he and Patriarch Shen Chen would go for wool and come home shorn. They had lifted a rock to smash their own feet. Who were they going to sell so many grade 1 pills to? What else can we do? We'll buy a few of these cauldrons and see if we can replicate them, Elder Shen Chen said unwillingly. Why don't we attack the Liu family and Miracle Doctor Guan Medical Company in the secular world? This thing is probably produced by the Liu family and Miracle Doctor Guan Medical Company. Let's go there and see if we can get the manufacturing information. Kang Ming's brain was quite fast. Since this thing was related to Lin Yi, it was probably produced by the Liu family or Miracle Doctor Guan Medical Company. After all, the Cultivator Trade Association didn't know about this before. So the only possibility was that Lin Yi would cooperate with Ouyang Nong after producing it. So if they wanted to get the research information, it would be easier to find the manufacturer directly. Moreover, Kang Ming used to do this kind of bribery and stealing business secrets. He was very familiar with it. No. Elder Shen Chen shook his head and vetoed. Since Ouyang Nong singled out the secular Liu family and Miracle Doctor Guan's medical company, and said that they worked together to launch it, it means that both the secular Liu family and Miracle Doctor Guan's medical company are strategic partners of the Cultivator Trading Association. If we touch either of them, we'll become enemies with the Cultivator Trading Association. It's not a wise move. Father-in-law, could it be that our Five Elements sect is afraid of the Cultivator Trade Association? Kang Jiaoming asked doubtfully. Since you are my son-in-law, there are some things that I will not hide from you. Although our Five Elements sect is a dragon-like existence in the ancient times, the Cultivator Trade Association is an existence that transcends the ancient times. Patriarch Shen Chen said in a low voice. An existence that transcends the ancient era? What does that mean? Kang Ming was slightly stunned. The Cultivator Trade Association covers the hidden era and the ancient era. However, there are also Cultivator Trade Associations above that. Although I don't know if the two are the same organization, there's an 80% chance that they're the same, Patriarch Shen Chen said seriously. Patriarch Shen Chen said sternly, if the Cultivators Trading Association is backed by a Cultivators Trading Association of that level, then even if we were at that level, we wouldn't be able to go against the Cultivators Trading Association, let alone us now. What level? Kang Jiaoming was confused and didn't know what was going on. It's nothing. All you need to know is that there seems to be a stronger backer behind the Cultivator Trade Association. Don't provoke them easily, and they won't take the initiative to break the rules and cause trouble for others, because the purpose of their organization is to seek wealth. The reason why Patriarch Shen Chen wasn't sure if the two were the same was because the Cultivator Trade Association here earned money from the secular world. The transactions between that level didn't use banknotes, but another substitute. Although Kang Ming didn't understand, He knew that since Patriarch Shen Chen didn't dare to provoke the Cultivator Trade Association easily, he also didn't dare to cause trouble for himself. His timid character hadn't changed. He could only hide if he couldn't beat them. However, he thought about it and speculated, "Father-in-law, do you think this thing was created by Boss Bai?" Boss Bai, Han Jingjing, Lin Yi, all three of them are possible. It's not strange for the three of them to come up with such a strange thing. Patriarch Shen Chen had already guessed it. But so what if we know? If the information is in Boss Bai's hands, we'll be at a disadvantage. It won't be easy to get it. Yes, we can only buy a few to study first. Kang Mingming nodded and said. When Tian Chan heard that the mastermind behind all this was actually Lin Yi, her beautiful eyes flashed with excitement. This thing was created by Lin Yi's company. During this period of time, Tian Dai had reported Lin Yi's information one after another. Tian Chan naturally knew that the secular Liu family and Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company were Lin Yi's forces. However, Patriarch Xuanzhen didn't know what Tian Chan was thinking. When he heard about Lin Yi, he naturally thought of Boss Bai. Could it be that this thing was really made by Boss Bai? Then, would Boss Bai know the little girl from back then? For a long time, Patriarch Xuanzhen had wanted to find the little girl from back then and ask her to help him modify a few more cauldrons. However, he didn't get to see her again. This made Patriarch Xuanzhen feel a little regretful. So, he decided to call Boss Bai and ask after he went back. However, the first-grade automatic cauldrons sold by the secular Liu family are not the 10-in-1 limited edition like the one I have. They are 5 single versions and 5-in-1 edition. The 5-in-1 edition contains 5 single versions, but compared to the 10-in-1 limited edition, there are 5 different kinds of first-grade elixirs. Ouyang Nong introduced, if you can't wait, you can contact the secular Liu family to buy the single and 5-in-1 edition. However, the 10-in-1 limited edition must wait for the auction. However, the number of each auction is limited. There are only 3 cauldrons. Please be prepared. Chapter 31-37. The lively exhibition was over, and the people present left one after another, each with their own thoughts. Some held a wait-and-see attitude, some wanted to go back and immediately contact the secular Liu family to buy a single version of the first-grade automatic cauldron to test, and some had made up their minds to collect all the first-grade automatic cauldrons. Kang Mingming and Elder Shen Chen were naturally envious, but it did not prevent them from going to the secular Liu family to buy the first-grade automatic cauldron for research. As the storm of the first-grade automatic cauldron began, the Dongfang family also thoroughly investigated the identity of Lin Yi. Father, second brother, this kid is not Zhong Naipao of the Everyday and Everyday sect, but Lin Yi. We were all deceived by him. After Dongfang Jinxing got the news, he angrily came to the place where Ouyang Badao and Ouyang Yinxing were practicing. Oh, Lin Yi. Dongfang Badao had heard of this name. At the Heavenly Elixir sect's trial, Lin Yi had defeated the disciple of the Everyday and Everyday sect, Zhong Naipao. At that time, the Dongfang family also wanted to find Lin Yi to cooperate and ask about Zhong Naipao's weakness, but the Dongfang family had always regarded themselves as an ancient family, high and mighty, and were unwilling to ask a wandering practitioner for advice, so this matter was delayed. But what they didn't expect was that Lin Yi had become their enemy. Yes, Xu Shahan's bodyguard is called Lin Yi. He is not a disciple of the Everyday and Everyday sect at all. This Lin Yi is very strange. At the Heavenly Elixir sect's trial, even Zhong Naipao of the Everyday and Everyday sect was not his opponent. It is normal for him to be able to fight against an enemy of a higher level. We walked into a misunderstanding that Dongfang Jian brought to us before, wishfully thinking that this person is a disciple of the Everyday and Everyday sect. Dongfang Jinxing said. So, in the Cultivator Trading Association, the person who colluded with Vice President Ouyang and killed Dongfang Jian is also Lin Yi? Is it also Lin Yi? Dongfang Badao asked. That's right. From the looks of it, it's 100%. Dongfang Jinxing said with certainty, Father, you don't know this, but today, I received news that the first-level automatic cauldron that's been hyped up by the Cultivator Trade Association is a collaboration between Ouyang Nong and Lin Yi. The relationship between the two of them isn't shallow. That person is undoubtedly Lin Yi. Well done, Lin Yi, very good. A mere vagrant cultivator dares to oppose our Dongfang clan time and time again? Do you really think that our Dongfang family is so easy to bully? Dongfang Yinxing slammed the table and angrily roared, "Father, let me go and kill this little bastard. Avenge the deaths of our Dongfang clan's experts. Be patient." Dongfang Badao was obviously not an impulsive person. He waved his hand and said, "Right now, Lin Yi is cooperating with the Cultivator Trade Association. He's like the sun in the sky. If we kill him now, we'll be going against the Cultivator Trade Association. For the Cultivator Trading Association, this is an existence that even the Heavenly Elixir sect dare not provoke. How can our Dongfang clan fight against it?" The news that the Heavenly Elixir sect suffered a loss at the Cultivator Trading Association spread like wildfire. The reason was because of Lin Yi's first-grade automatic medicine cauldron. Therefore, even the Heavenly Elixir sect endured it. How could the Dongfang clan stand out? "Father, are we just going to let it go?" Dongfang Yinxing was obviously very unwilling and asked with red eyes. "Of course, it's impossible to just let it go." Dongfang Badao smiled coldly and said, "We can't kill Lin Yi now. However, he could secretly kill him. However, Shu Shahan should not be moved for the time being. Even if we do move, we can't link it with Lin Yi's matter. After this period of limelight, Lin Yi is dead, then we will find trouble with her. This way, no one will suspect that Lin Yi's death has anything to do with us." This is also true. Dongfang Yinxing nodded. Obviously, he also didn't want to bring trouble to the Dongfang clan because of revenge. "Right, Father, when I investigated Lin Yi's identity before, I specifically asked the Everyday and Everyday sect for confirmation. The Everyday and Everyday sect seems to also want to send a master with the strength of the peak late stage of Earth class to kill Lin Yi." Dongfang Jinxing suddenly thought of something and immediately said, "Oh, the Everyday and Everyday sect. What's going on?" Dongfang Badao immediately became interested. "Before, I thought that Lin Yi was from the Everyday and Everyday sect, so I called Chunyang Tianzuan and asked if the disciple of the Everyday and Everyday sect, Zhong Naipao, had recently come out of the mountain, but the answer I got was that after returning from the Heavenly Elixir sect's trial, Zhong Naipao fell into the demon of his heart that was thwarted by Lin Yi. He was depressed every day. How could he have the time to go out and kill people from our Dongfang clan?" Dongfang Jinxing said, "Although I didn't believe it at the time, I thought that the Everyday and Everyday sect had no need to lie to me, so I believed it. Later, I received a call from the ancient Feng clan's Feng Tianhu, telling me that the bodyguard beside Shu Shahan was Lin Yi, so I called the Everyday and Everyday sect's Chunyang Tianzuan again and told him that I was very sorry about the previous matter, I misunderstood them, and that the real culprit was Lin Yi, also the enemy of their Everyday and Everyday sect." "Oh. Then what did Chunyang Tianzuan say?" Dongfang Badao asked with interest. "Then Chunyang Tianzuan said that even if we don't go looking for trouble with Lin Yi, they are ready to send Chunyin Tianzuan to kill Lin Yi. If we also have the same idea, we can talk to them and kill Lin Yi together, so that whoever kills first, the other party will be unhappy." Dongfang Jinxing said. "Oh, that's the best. Two masters with the strength of the peak late stage of heaven class go together. No matter how powerful Lin Yi is, no matter how strong he is, no matter how strong he is, he will definitely die." The corner of Dongfang Badao's mouth showed a smile. "This is very good. At that time, the Everyday and Everyday sect will be in the light, we will be in the dark. If Lin Yi dies, we can still push the blame to them." As for why the Everyday and Everyday sect took action, the people of the Dongfang clan still wanted to take action together. The reason was very simple. So many people of the Dongfang clan had died. If the Dongfang clan didn't personally send people to kill Lin Yi, how could they calm the anger in their hearts? Only by taking revenge with their own hands could they be at ease. Otherwise, the Dongfang clan would always be sullen. Chapter 31-38. No, after all, he died in the trial. We can't use this as an excuse to cause trouble. Secondly, our Dongfang family's strength is really not good. Without a peak late stage heaven class master, we are not the opponent of the Everyday and Everyday sect. So I didn't say it, and they didn't ask. Dongfang Jinxing said. "Okay, then it's settled. Jinxing, You discuss with the people of the everyday and everyday sect again. Let's see when our two families will go together and kill Lin Yi. Dongfang Badao said. I will call in a while. Dongfang Jinxing replied. In the everyday and everyday sect, Chunyang Sky Master, who received the call from Dongfang Jinxing, immediately found Zhong Pingliang, his master, the Mad Dragon Master. Master, people from the Dongfang family just called, hoping that our two families will join forces to deal with Lin Yi. Chunyang Sky Master said truthfully. Lin Yi. You have decided to kill him? Pinliang wasn't willing to give up. He'd always wanted to kill Lin Yi with his own hands, but he still had the soul of the Mad Dragon Patriarch in his body. He knew that he had to look at the bigger picture. Even if he wasn't willing, this was the only way. Moreover, Zhong Naipao was his brother, and he didn't want anything to happen to him. Zhong Naipao still hasn't gotten rid of the demon in his heart. It seems that we can only kill Lin Yi to let him return to normal. Although this is not good for his growth, and there is no enemy to motivate him, it is better than him not getting rid of the demon in his heart for the rest of his life, Chunyang Sky Master said. So, I hope Master can help me. Okay, you talk to the Dongfang family. When this Chunyin kid comes out, he will go and kill Lin Yi. Zhong Pingliang nodded and agreed. Yes, Master. Chunyang Sky Master nodded and responded. These few days of peace. It made Lin Yi temporarily think that the Dongfang family had given up the idea of Shu Shahan. After all, so many people died, and they haven't sent any masters for so long. This matter, it was estimated that it was over, at least for now, there should be no problem. What Lin Yi didn't know was that two peak late-stage heaven rank experts were ready to join hands to cause trouble for Lin Yi. It wasn't that they didn't want to come, but that heavenly venerable pure yin hadn't come out of seclusion. First-grade automatic medicine cauldrons were officially on sale in the secular Liu family's company. Although the price was set by Liu Jinghan to be incomparably high, a single version of the medicine cauldron was sold for 200 million yuan, and a 5-in-1 medicine cauldron was sold for 800 million yuan. But on the first day of business. In the end, he managed to sell 3 single-edition first-grade automatic cauldrons. 2 first-grade automatic cauldrons with 5-in-1. Of course, the rest of the people were just watching. They wanted to hear how others felt about using it. After all, they weren't sure if the version sold in the secular world was the same as the version sold in the Cultivator Trade Association. The only way was to wait for others to use it and then make plans. But among these medicine cauldrons, there were 2 that Kang Mingming sent people to buy. One was a single-edition automatic cauldron, and the other was a 5-in-1 one. After he returned, he planned to study it with the Shenchen ancestor. And these people from the ancient and hidden realms were very smart at this moment. They didn't bargain or take it by force. After all, the secular Liu family was now in a cooperative relationship with the Cultivator Trade Association. If they dared to harm the secular Liu family, it would be going against the Cultivator Trade Association. They didn't have the guts to do so. One had to know that the Cultivator Trading Association had 3 peak late heaven rank Great Perfection Realm experts overseeing it. This strength was quite formidable. Liu Jinghan didn't expect the sales to reach 1.9 billion on the first day. It could be said to be a good start. Just the money from the first day was enough to repay the loan from the bank. At least the Liu family's loan was not a problem, and the sales tomorrow and the day after could be used to repay the debt of Fatty Lie's medical company. Immediately, Liu Jinghan happily called Lin Yi. Lin Yi, do you know? On the first day, our sales reached 1.9 billion. Although Liu Jinghan was the genius of the Liu family, this kind of terrifying sales made her feel uneasy. What kind of business could make so much money in one go? Although the cost of a first-grade automatic medicine cauldron wasn't low, and the titanium alloy and the special SCM were extremely expensive, compared to the price, it was a drop in the ocean. It could even be ignored. 1.9 billion? Lin Yi was also shocked. He didn't expect to sell so many on the first day. One must know that in order to make the medical company run again, Lin Yi spent a lot of effort to raise a sum of money, but Liu Jinghan actually sold so many on the first day. How many medicine cauldrons did you sell? 5, 2 5-in-1, 3 single versions, Liu Jinghan said, But, the cost of these two is the same, there's no difference. Lin Yi naturally understood what Liu Jinghan said. The difference between the two was nothing more than the program in the SCM, but there was no difference in the cost. But, what surprised Lin Yi was that 5 medicine cauldrons sold for 1.9 billion. Why so much? What price did you set? Lin Yi was very shocked. The price really shocked him. The price of a single medicine cauldron is 200 million, and the 5-in-1 is 800 million. This is the price that I agreed with Vice President Ouyang because I have to set the price according to the estimated price of their auction. I can't lower the price. Liu Jinghan said, but now it seems that the sales momentum is good. At least there's no silence. From tomorrow onwards, there will be more people buying. After all, a lot of people are waiting for others to buy it and see if it has the same effect as the Cultivator Trade Association. Okay, then you continue to sell. Report to me at any time if there's any news. Lin Yi was relieved. The company's matters had troubled him for a long time, and now it had finally come to an end. 5 Elements Sect. Kang Mingming directly presented the 2 medicine cauldrons in front of Patriarch Shenchen and said with pain, "This secular Liu family is really black-hearted. These 2 pieces of trash actually cost a high price of 1 billion yuan. If it weren't for the Cultivator Trade Association settling some of the sales of medicinal pills, I wouldn't have the money to buy them." Chapter 31-39. Patriarch Shenchen also felt that this thing was ridiculously expensive, but it couldn't be helped. Who asked it to automatically refine pills? One had to know that the value of a first-grade alchemist was not just this. Is there anything special about it? I don't dare to study it. This thing is very sophisticated. I'm afraid of breaking it, so I showed it to you immediately, father-in-law, Kang Mingming said. This thing seems to be a combination of ancient and modern times. It has both electronics and ancient technology. It's really not easy to study, Patriarch Shenchen said to Little One, go and find your second uncle Xuanzhen. Let's study this first-grade automatic medicine cauldron together. Yes. Little One responded quickly, turned around, and left the room to find Patriarch Xuanzhen. After a while, Patriarch Xuanzhen brought Tian Chan to Patriarch Xuanzhen's room. In fact, Patriarch Xuanzhen was also very interested in this first-grade automatic medicine cauldron. Of course, he did not intend to say too much to Patriarch Shenchen. With Patriarch Xuanzhen's overbearing personality, if he knew that the little girl he met could also modify the medicine cauldron, he would probably capture her. Therefore, Patriarch Xuanzhen and Tian Chan each picked up a medicine cauldron and studied it without expressing any opinions. It's very sophisticated. The material of this medicine cauldron is different from a real first-grade medicine cauldron. Patriarch Xuanzhen looked at the appearance for a while and came to this conclusion. Oh! Patriarch Shenchen did not realize it. Previously, he thought that the material of this automatic medicine cauldron was the same as a real first-grade medicine cauldron. However, when Patriarch Xuanzhen mentioned it, he realized the difference. This seems to be a metal material that is more commonly used in the secular world. It's not a rare colored steel. It should be titanium metal. Kang Mingming was not a complete idiot. He had stayed in the secular world for a long time. After Patriarch Xuanzhen's reminder, he immediately recognized the material of the medicine cauldron. This kind of thing is often used in some secular product. However, this titanium metal seems to be a little different. It has been processed. Yes. Do you have any other opinions? Patriarch Shenchen nodded and looked at Kang Mingming with anticipation. Father-in-law, second uncle master, there are some electronic circuits in this first-grade automatic medicine cauldron. We don't understand these things, so if we disassemble it rashly, it is very likely that this equipment will be damaged. Therefore, my suggestion is, we should hire a computer expert. He was trying to decipher this cauldron. There must be an electronic program in it, Kang Mingming suggested. Yes, you're right. However, our 5 Elements sect has always been dealing with these ancient sects. Which of these sects is good at this? Patriarch Shenchen frowned and said, Zhaoming, do you know anyone? I have a candidate that I can try. I think he should have a way. Kang Mingming said after thinking for a while. Who is it? Patriarch Black Earth asked. And this person, father-in-law, you also know her. She is the leader of the Fire Wolf Gang, Miss Luan. Kang Mingming said, the Fire Wolf Gang is an organization similar to an ancient sect that focuses on high technology. Asking them for help is our only choice. Not bad, Zhaoming, your brain works very fast. If you didn't say it, I wouldn't have thought of it. Patriarch Black Earth nodded and said, okay, Zhaoming, you are in charge of contacting Miss Luan. If she has any requests, just let her know. Okay, father-in-law, I will contact her now. Kang Mingming said and nodded. He left the room and went to make the call. In the room, Patriarch Black Earth and Tian Chan finally understood what Patriarch Black Earth and Kang Mingming wanted to do. They seemed to want to decipher and imitate the first-grade automatic medicine cauldron. Patriarch Black Earth frowned slightly. He was a bit ashamed of copying other people's scientific and technological achievements. After all, the Five Elements sect was the leader of the ancient sect. Doing such a thing was really damaging to their reputation. As for Tian Chan, she was deeply worried. She wanted to stop them, but she didn't have enough reason. She could only hope that Kang Mingming and Patriarch Black Earth would not be able to decipher it. However, Patriarch Black Earth spoke. Black Earth, you want to imitate this first-grade automatic medicine cauldron? Yes, second senior brother, I believe you also know the business opportunities of this thing. The most important thing is that this medicine cauldron costs 200 million for a single version, and 800 million for a 5-in-1 version. It's simply a sky-high price. If we can copy it, I'm afraid we can make a lot of money, Patriarch Black Earth said. Black Earth, we want to use the name of the Heavenly Elixir sect to sell it. As the leader of the ancient sects, isn't it inappropriate for you to let the Heavenly Elixir sect do some counterfeiting? Patriarch Black Earth said, this is a matter of reputation. Second senior brother, I'll still say the same thing. You're not in charge, so you don't know how expensive daily necessities are. Patriarch Black Earth said with a bitter face, you don't know. Previously, we refined a large number of first-grade pills and used all of our liquid funds to refine pills. In the end, when the pills were sent to the Cultivator Trade Association, they actually told us that this first-grade automatic medicine cauldron had appeared, and it was actually invented by Lin Yi. It's really infuriating. Isn't this clearly against us? We've wasted so many pills in our hands. If we don't imitate this first-grade automatic medicine cauldron, our Five Elements sect will really go bankrupt. Where will we have the money to buy the pill refining materials needed to start the Heavenly Stage Island plan? Then why did you refine so many first-grade pills? Patriarch Black Earth snorted, don't think that I don't know. Isn't it to make Lin Yi's pills unable to be sold? Black Earth, you're really narrow-minded. Now that the pills can't be sold, you're starting to blame Lin Yi. When the time comes, I'll see that you imitate this medicine cauldron. Maybe he will come up with something new. Alright, second senior brother, you don't have to worry about these things. You should just refine pills. I'll take full responsibility for these things. Patriarch Black Earth said decisively. Forget it, I'm going back to refine pills. Heavenly Silkworm transformation, let's go. Patriarch Black Earth waved his hand and said to Tian Chan, looking at the backs of Patriarch Black Earth and Tian Chan as they left. Patriarch Black Earth smiled disdainfully. New things? How is that possible? This medicine cauldron is probably Lin Yi's limit. When I imitate it, I can replace Lin Yi's market. Chapter 3140. Even he didn't dare to say that he could easily make a second-grade medicine cauldron, let alone Lin Yi. Kang Mingming found Miss Luan's phone number and called her directly. Elder Kang? Miss Luan's voice came from the other side of the phone. Why are you calling me? Are you asking about the news of the 2 test subjects? Oh, let's not talk about the 2 test subjects first. That's not urgent. I have something else that I want to consult Miss Luan about. Kang Mingming didn't care about Elder Mion and Zhao Guangyin's lives. They weren't his father anyway. What he was concerned about now was the first-grade automatic medicine cauldron. What is it? Miss Luan asked. I don't know if Miss Luan has an expert who is proficient in cracking computer programs and electronic circuits. Kang Ming Ming asked. Oh. What does Elder Kang mean by this? What do you want to do? Miss Luan asked. It's like this. I believe that Miss Luan must have heard about the first-grade automatic medicine cauldron that's causing an uproar in the underworld, right? Kang Ming Ming asked. Yes, I've heard about it. However, this thing has nothing to do with us. Our center's research direction is technology, which is different from these elixirs, Miss Luan said. Hehe, Miss Luan might not know this, but this first-grade medicine cauldron is high-tech. Kang Ming Ming explained the general situation of this first-grade automatic medicine cauldron to Miss Luan in detail. According to what you said, this thing might really be an electronic product. However, what is your purpose in telling me this? Miss Luan asked. It's like this. I want to ask Miss Luan to help us crack and make a replica of this first-grade automatic medicine cauldron. Is Miss Luan interested? Of course, we will share the profits. Kang Ming Ming invited. Oh. If my understanding isn't wrong, if I buy a medicinal cauldron and then make a replica, wouldn't I be able to enjoy the profits alone? Why would I share the profits with you? Miss Luan asked. This. Miss Luan, you know that this medicinal cauldron not only requires excellent computer and electronic skills, but also knowledge of alchemy. Our Heavenly Elixir sect and Five Elements sect are the authorities in this area. Moreover, Miss Luan's sales channel is not as good as ours, right? How could the products of the Heavenly Elixir sect and the products of the Fire Wolf gang be the same in terms of quality? Who do you think those ancient sects will believe? Kang Ming Ming quickly asked. What you said makes sense. Let me think about it. Miss Luan nodded and fell into deep thought. Kang Ming Ming didn't dare to disturb her as he quietly waited for her reply. After about 3 to 5 minutes, Miss Luan spoke again. I can agree to your suggestion, but this thing isn't that easy to crack or imitate. We will provide technical support, and you will be responsible for manufacturing and sales. The profits will be split 50 to 50. 50-50. Kang Ming Ming was stunned. Wasn't that a little too much? He had to ask Ancestor Shen Chen, so he said, okay, I will ask, but do you have such a talent on your side? My boyfriend is a computer expert, but he is busy with other things now, so he can't come back for the time being. However, he has a personal disciple called Dr. Benjamin Tu, who is also a computer expert. He can cooperate with you for research and development, said Miss Luan. Okay. I will report to Ancestor Shen Chen now. Kang Ming Ming got a positive answer and quickly walked to Ancestor Xuanshen's room. After knocking on the door, Kang Ming Ming walked into Ancestor Xuanshen's room, but he found that Ancestor Xuanshen and Heavenly Silkworm Transformation were no longer there. However, Kang Ming Ming was not surprised. After all, Ancestor Xuanshen and Heavenly Silkworm Transformation were not on good terms with Ancestor Shen Chen. Father-in-law, I have already called Miss Luan, who is behind the Fire Wolf gang. She can send an expert in this area to help us research and crack the first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron, but the condition is that the profits must be split 50 to 50, said Kang Ming Ming. 50 to 50, that's a bit too much. After Ancestor Shen Chen heard it, he frowned slightly. However, Miss Luan was not like the masters of the ancient sects. She was not a pushover. Since Miss Luan proposed this division, it basically could not be changed. If it was changed, the other party was likely to terminate the cooperation. This was not worth it for Ancestor Shen Chen. After all, the only person he could find for the time being was Miss Luan. Even if Ancestor Shen Chen could recruit people in the secular world for his own use, it would still take some time to train talents and set up a laboratory. By the time it was produced, the market would be saturated. How could he make a lot of money? It would be too late. Therefore, in the face of Miss Luan's exorbitant demand, Ancestor Shen Chen had no choice but to nod and say, okay, you agree to Miss Luan's request. 50 to 50, but her people must come as soon as possible. Okay, I will go and talk to Miss Luan. Kang Ming Ming nodded and then went to call Miss Luan. After Miss Luan received a reply from Kang Ming Ming, she did not say anything else. She directly sent her boyfriend's student, Dr. Benjamin Tu, to find Kang Ming Ming. Benjamin Tu was indeed a very powerful person. After picking up the medicinal cauldron, He took a few glances at it and roughly explained the principle of this medicinal cauldron. There should be a single-chip microcomputer in this medicinal cauldron. It adjusts the size of the fire according to the curve of time to achieve the purpose of alchemy. To be honest, we know the principle. If we want to make it, it is actually possible. Make it. Ancestor Shenchen frowned. Hadn't he thought of making a similar thing before? However, alchemists relied on their own perception of the shape of the elixir to adjust the size of the fire at any time. However, this thing was just a feeling. Who could record the size of the fire while refining the elixir? Moreover, the size of the fire was just a personal feeling. If he really wanted to say how big the fire was, Ancestor Shenchen couldn't say it. Moreover, there was the coordination of time and temperature. One deviation and this elixir would be ruined. This involved some complicated functional curves. After many days of observation by Ancestor Shenchen, he found that this first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron was not as simple as he imagined. Chapter 3141. For example, when refining a first-grade elixir, the specified temperature and fire intensity were a parameter. However, if the alchemist's control of the temperature was off, such as the temperature being slightly lower, he could increase the success rate of the elixir by increasing the intensity of the fire. This was a subtle adjustment of the feeling, but it was different when using this first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron to refine elixir. Originally, an alchemist thought that the temperature of his alchemy fire had reached a certain temperature, but the LCD screen of the medicinal cauldron showed that it was actually slightly higher or slightly lower. Moreover, the deviation coefficient of this high and low was different for each kind of elixir. It could be said that the alchemist's alchemy depended entirely on the feeling. If you asked him to record the temperature, fire intensity, and time of his own alchemy, it was simply impossible. If others were to refine according to this, they would probably not succeed because everyone's feeling was different. Just like how some people felt that salty dishes were delicious, some people felt that sweet dishes were delicious. It was difficult for everyone to adjust. It was the same for alchemy. As the saying goes, the master leads the way, and the cultivation is up to the individual. This sentence was the most appropriate to describe the alchemist. Therefore, Patriarch Shenchen directly shook his head and said, "That's impossible. Alchemy is something that can only be understood and not explained. If I really had to say it, I wouldn't be able to say the refining time and fire intensity of each pill. Different alchemists, when refining the same kind of elixir, the time and temperature used may be different. This involves the problem of personal habits, but this first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron will not only be adjusted according to the personal attributes of each alchemist when it is used for the first time, but it can also display the true temperature of the alchemist's current alchemy fire on the LCD screen at any time." Dr. Benjamin too was just asking casually. He didn't know much about alchemy. Listening to Patriarch Shenchen say that it was so complicated and troublesome, he gave up the idea of recreating it. After all, recreating it seemed to be more difficult. However, Dr. Benjamin too was a little puzzled. Who invented this thing? The inventor's mind is not inferior to me, a genius doctor. However, even so, Dr. Benjamin too still felt that if this inventor were to compete with his master, it would be a small trick because he didn't even learn 1/10 of his master's skills. However, Dr. Benjamin too also knew that his master was doing something big now. He had no time to care about these small things. "Then I'll open it and take a look." Dr. Benjamin too checked the appearance of the first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron and said, "I can only find a way to cut it. This medicinal cauldron uses the current very advanced seamless welding technology. There are no screws to fix the space." "All right. Little Yi, cut this cauldron open," Patriarch Shenchen ordered Little Yi. Dr. Benjamin too's original intention was to use a laser to cut it, but he didn't expect that Little Yi would actually take out a heaven-grade divine weapon longsword and slash it around the medicine cauldron. The medicine cauldron broke. Looking at the perfectly cut medicine cauldron, the internal structure was not damaged at all. The corner of Dr. Benjamin too's mouth twitched twice. He thought, "These cultivators are really perverted, but fortunately, my modified biohuman is successful." He was not any weaker than these people. However, After Dr. Benjamin II dismantled the medicinal cauldron, he did not care about the structure but continued to dismantle it. After removing the microcontroller chip from the final circuit, he was somewhat disappointed. The pins and shape of this microcontroller were completely unique. It did not meet international component standards at all. It must be a non-general purpose microcontroller made by himself. Although Dr. Benjamin II had long thought of this possibility, he was still a little disappointed after seeing it with his own eyes. Previously, he still had a fluke. After all, the person who could invent this kind of thing was not necessarily good at electronic circuits and encryption. These were two fields. He didn't believe that someone could be proficient in them at the same time. But now it seemed that this person was very powerful. This microcontroller was made by himself, and there was no parameter information at all. It was even more difficult to crack it. How about this? Give me a few days. I will go back to my laboratory to research and crack this single-chip microcomputer. If there are any results, I will inform you. If there are no results, I will let you know. However, if you want to crack it and copy it, it won't work. Dr. Benjamin II frowned and said, "But I also want to remind you that the possibility of cracking an imitation is relatively small because this microcontroller is not a standard self-made special microcontroller. It is very difficult to crack." I see. After listening to Dr. Benjamin II's words, Ancestor Shen Chen was a little unwilling, but he was helpless. After all, Dr. Benjamin II had already said very clearly that this kind of thing could not be forced. It was not something that could be imitated just because you wanted to. There was a high level of technology involved. Even the scientific experts from the center, who had always been famous for their high tech, said so. Ancestor Shen Chen also dispelled the idea of looking for others. Although he did not study these things, he also understood the level of science and technology in the center. It was just that Ancestor Shen Chen was a little puzzled. Lin Yi is obviously a cultivator. How can there be such a scientific expert around him? Even Boss Bai can't do anything about it, right? Dr. Benjamin II left in a hurry. He came and left in a hurry. However, on the night after Dr. Benjamin II left, Ancestor Shen Chen and Kang Ming received a call from him. "No, give it up." Dr. Benjamin II's words made the expectations of Ancestor Shen Chen and Kang Ming instantly fall to the bottom. Dr. Benjamin II, what the hell is going on? Can't it be cracked? Ancestor Shen Chen asked with some unwillingness. To tell you the truth, after I came back, I did a detailed study of some of the components and circuits on the periphery of the circuit board. This microcontroller is not a conventional microcontroller, but a kind of concept proposed by the hacker world more than 10 years ago. With the level of technology at that time, the concept was just an idea. It was temporarily impossible to realize. I didn't expect that after a few years, I would see the finished product. However, even if I knew some of the original information, there was no way to crack it. Dr. Benjamin II said resolutely. Chapter 3142. It's impossible. That person was once known as the King of Hackers. Her codename was I Love Xiaoming. However, her identity was later confirmed. With my identity, it is absolutely impossible to invite her. Dr. Benjamin II shook his head and said. Why? Ancestor Shen Chen naturally didn't care about the hacker's name. He just wanted to know if he could invite him out of the mountain. Because she's the woman of that lunatic who destroyed the center and killed my senior brother, Professor Benjamin I. Professor Benjamin I's words were unclear, but Patriarch Shen Chen understood what Professor Benjamin I was saying, and he was shocked. He naturally knew about the madman from back then. This person who was called Madman Yang was one of the Vajra dual evils that swept through the primordial era. Patriarch Shen Chen would definitely not provoke such a person if he could avoid it. Although this person disappeared, it was impossible for Ancestor Shen Chen to be enemies with his relatives. If this madman popped up again one day, then the Five Elements sect would probably become a deserted sect. Therefore, after listening to Dr. Benjamin II's words, Ancestor Shen Chen directly gave up and didn't ask about these things. Instead, he said, "Then what should we do now? Do we just give up like this? I suggest that you use commercial espionage to settle this matter." As long as you get the research and development information of the other party, I am confident that I can recreate it, said Dr. Benjamin Tu. Get the research and development information? Ancestor Shen Chen was slightly stunned. He suppressed his unhappiness and said, if I get the information, I can produce it myself. Do I still need you? You can't say that. I can guarantee that after you get the information, it is impossible to produce it. Many of the components on this circuit board are non-standard specifications. Even if you get the core information, we can only substitute other existing electronic components because you can't buy the electronic components on this medicinal cauldron. Dr. Benjamin Tu said, of course, if you think that your heavenly elixir sect has this ability, you can get rid of us and do it alone. After hearing this, Ancestor Shen Chen finally understood why Dr. Benjamin Tu was so confident. It turned out that Dr. Benjamin Tu was certain that their 5 Elements sect didn't have the technical talent in this area. Even if they got the production materials, it was impossible to manufacture it. Let's not talk about anything else. Most of the existing components are going to be eliminated due to the high temperature resistance of the circuit boards and components. Therefore, our center is not asking for a lion's share of the profits, Dr. Benjamin Tu reminded. All right, I'll try my best. Patriarch Shen Chen hung up the phone helplessly. It seemed that he had thought too simply. Patriarch Shen Chen told Kang Mingming what Dr. Benjamin Tu had said, and Kang Mingming's expression was a little uncertain. However, he quickly made up his mind. Father-in-law, why don't we start with Lin Yi's company or the secular Liu family? We can get the production materials directly and then replicate it. Kang Mingming suggested. Are you confident? At least you can't rob them openly. You have to do it secretly. You can bribe their employees, but you can't use threats. Otherwise, the Cultivator Trade Association won't be easy to deal with. Ancestor Shen Chen hesitated for a moment and decided to use this method. After all, the 5 Elements sect was really too poor now. All their funds were invested in a large pile of first-grade medicinal pills that were a pity to throw away. They finally had a little return and bought 2 first-grade automatic cauldrons. This made Ancestor Shen Chen have to think of other ideas. I know. I've done this many times before. Kang Mingming nodded and said, however, we have to start from 2 sides. One is the secular Liu family, and the other is Fatty Lai's Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Company. Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Company is easy to handle. My cousin is the vice president there. Although it's not easy to deal with, as long as we have the right methods, it's not impossible. As for the secular Liu family, we have to find a starting point. I haven't had much contact with them before. I don't know what their weaknesses are. Oh. Then what are you going to do with Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Company? Ancestor Shen Chen nodded and asked. Honey trap. A sinister look flashed in Kang Mingming's eyes. This cousin of mine has a weird habit. He's very protective of the women I've played with. As long as we act pitiful in front of him, we can arouse his protection. When they really sleep together, the heavenly elixir sect will come out to cause trouble and give him a badger game. This matter can't be explained clearly. Even if Boss Bai wants to interfere, he has no reason to do so. We'll force him first. If he doesn't comply, we'll destroy his reputation and kill his whole family. Under his fear, he might help us get the information. Kang Mingming, what do you mean? You won't let my daughter go, right? Ancestor Shen Chen said angrily, do you want to die? Ah. Father-in-law, you misunderstood. I mean, let Little Peach go, not Little 11. Kang Mingming was shocked. He realized that what he said was a little misleading. No wonder Ancestor Shen Chen was so angry. Oh, Little Peach, that's fine. Ancestor Shen Chen nodded. He really didn't care about an ordinary maid. Her life and death had little to do with him. However, what if Little Peach doesn't want to go? Impossible. Kang Mingming said confidently, although my appearance can't be compared to Pan An's, I'm also first-class handsome. The women who fall in love with me have always been infatuated with me. If I let Little Peach go, it's impossible for her not to go. I dare say that she's willing to sacrifice herself for me. Kang Mingming wasn't bragging. At least, wasn't Xiaofan like this back then? She couldn't forget about Kang Mingming, even to the point of being crazy. All right, I'll leave this matter to you. Ancestor Shenchen nodded and said, but you have to remember, it's fine to play along, but if something really happens between you and Little Peach, then don't call me father-in-law. Don't worry, father-in-law. With Little Peach's appearance, she's far inferior to Little 11. How can I like her? It's impossible. Kang Mingming said. Ian, as for the secular Liu family, I'll help you investigate and then give you a reference. You can think of a way to do it. Ancestor Shenchen nodded and said. Chapter 3143. Little Peach, I haven't seen you for a long time. Did you miss me? Kang Mingming made a handsome gesture and walked toward Little Peach. Little Peach's eyes flashed with doubt, but she still said, Elder Kang, you are already engaged to someone else. Please behave yourself. Don't tease. Little Peach. Haha, Little Peach, there are no outsiders here. When Kang Mingming said this, his expression changed. He sighed and said, Little Peach, you also know that there is a 5-element sect above the Heavenly Elixir sect, right? You are also the closest person to the young master of the Heavenly Silkworm sect. You also know the situation inside. Your big brother Kang had no choice. What? What do you mean? Although Little Peach had already given up on Kang Mingming, she still felt some sympathy when she heard what Kang Mingming said at this moment. She was curious to know what was going on, so she said, Big brother Kang, why are you saying this? Little Peach, I said this to tell you that Ancestor Xuanshen's daughter, Little 11, likes me and wants me to marry her. You also know how powerful Ancestor Shenchen is. Even the young master of the Heavenly Elixir sect doesn't dare to disobey his orders. I am just a small elder. Do I dare to disobey him? Kang Mingming said with a bitter face, I had no choice. I could only say those heartless words to you before, but that was not my intention. Is that so? Little Peach was a simple person with no ulterior motives. Although she had given up on Kang Mingming and even hated his guts, she was a little confused when she heard Kang Mingming's explanation at this moment. Was Kang Mingming really forced? As for what Kang Mingming said, Little Peach was also very clear. Ancestor Shenchen was an overbearing old man who kept his word in the Heavenly Elixir sect. Therefore, if this was the case, then Kang Mingming would definitely not dare to disobey Ancestor Xuanshen's words. However, was this true? Of course. Kang Mingming nodded. I had no choice. Little Peach. You also know that there's a saying in Jianghu that you can't help yourself. This is the truth. If I don't want to die and I don't want to harm you, I can only agree to this marriage. I understand. Little Peach nodded and said, Big brother Kang, Little Peach doesn't blame you. I can only blame Little Peach for not having this life. I wish you and Sister 11 happiness. Little Peach, don't say that. Seeing that Little Peach misunderstood him, Kang Mingming hurriedly said, Actually, I don't want to say that. In private, we can still be the same as before. As long as we don't get caught by Patriarch Shenchen, it's fine. Big brother Kang, that won't do. Little Peach can't harm you. If that's the case, you'll definitely be in trouble if someone finds out. Little Peach hurriedly shook her head. Little Peach, since I said that, I'm confident. This is just a worst-case scenario. But now, there is one thing. We can be together openly. Although you can't be my first wife, you can still be my second wife. Kang Mingming said, if you do this well, then my master, Ancestor Shenchen, will marry you. He will definitely agree and personally act as your matchmaker. Ah, really? Little Peach grew up in an ancient sect, so there was naturally no concept of monogamy in her mind. Therefore, in her opinion, as long as she could be with Kang Mingming, it didn't matter if she was his wife or concubine. Of course. Kang Mingming nodded and said, but this matter is very difficult, and it may let men take advantage of you. Although I like you and I don't care about these things, I'm afraid that you will care about it. Ah! Little Peach suddenly froze. Let men take advantage of me? To be honest, Little Peach was unwilling. She was a very conservative person. Although she hadn't finished the last step with Kang Mingming, her heart was already with Kang Ming. If she had any skin contact with other men, how could she be willing? However, Kang Mingming said that he didn't mind. The most important thing was that after this matter, she could be with Kang Ming Ming. Thinking of this, Little Peach was a little excited and hesitant. She couldn't make a choice for a while. Little Peach, think about it. As long as you are willing, you can be with me for the rest of your life. Kang Ming Ming said temptingly. Okay. I'll do it. Little Peach gritted her teeth and nodded. Great, Little Peach, so we can be together for the rest of our lives in the future. Kang Ming Ming said, then you go back and prepare. I will take you out. As for the reason for your departure, don't tell young Master Tian. I will ask my master, Ancestor Shen Chen, to help you apply for leave. Ah, okay. Little Peach nodded. Although she liked Kang Ming Ming and believed Kang Ming Ming's words this time, Little Peach didn't blindly obey and trust Kang Ming Ming without thinking. This time, Kang Ming Ming said not to tell Tian Chan, but Little Peach decided to tell Tian Chan after going back. Because she didn't want to hide it from Tian Chan. Even if she liked Kang Ming Ming, Tian Chan was still her master. This would not change. Kang Jiaoming, on the other hand, didn't know that Little Peach had other thoughts. When he saw Little Peach nod, he thought that Little Peach was fooled by him again. He happily went to prepare and make a plan. As for Little Peach, she immediately went to report to Tian Chan. In Tian Chan's room, she was refining the elixir needed for the Heaven Step Island plan with Ancestor Xian Zhen. After refining another elixir, Ancestor Xian Zhen put away the elixir, then wiped the sweat on his forehead and said, if only I could make a few third-grade automatic medicinal cauldrons. That first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron is obviously much more advanced than mine. That first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron can refine elixir as long as one knows how to refine elixir, but this one can't. It needs some skills. Master, who is that person? Since she is so powerful, why don't you accept her as a disciple? Tian Chan was a little confused. Since this person was also talented in alchemy, wouldn't it be more convenient to take her as a disciple in the future? She has a master. Ancestor Xian Zhen smiled bitterly and said, moreover, her master is the kind of person I can't afford to provoke. She has a master. Who is her master? Tian Chan was slightly stunned. This was the first time that Ancestor Xian Zhen told her about the past. In the past, Ancestor Xian Zhen wouldn't mention these things. Chapter 3144. Oh! Could it be that her master is one of the Vajra dual fiends? Tian Chan was shocked. That's not it, but it's their friend. Patriarch Xian Zhen shook his head. His surname is Sun, and is also a very powerful person. He can combine cultivation with science. I heard that he's been working on something that can store the heaven and earth spiritual qi and carry it with him at any time. As for whether he succeeded or not, I'm not sure. I've only met them once, and I haven't seen them since. I see. Then the two of them are really powerful. However, the killer Vajra duo knew that you were from the Five Elements sect. Didn't they come to the Five Elements sect to cause trouble? Tian Chan asked in confusion. At that time, the killer Vajra duo had already disappeared, and I got to know them under the guise of a wandering cultivator. Patriarch Xian Zhen suddenly felt a little embarrassed. Tian Chan, do you think I'm too timid? Of course not. A wise man submits to circumstances. At that time, no one was a match for the killer Vajra duo, so I did this to protect the Five Elements sect. Tian Chan shook her head. Okay, let's not talk about this. That little girl must have grown up now, but she should be a little younger than you. I don't know if I'll have the chance to meet her in the future. However, I really want to know, did Lin Yi think of this medicine cauldron himself, or did someone help him? Patriarch Xian Zhen sighed. It wasn't that he didn't want to ask Boss Bai, but he couldn't. This was because Patriarch Shen Chen wanted to crack the imitation of this first-grade automatic medicine cauldron. If Patriarch Xian Zhen asked, Boss Bai might misunderstand that he was here to ask for information. Therefore, Patriarch Xian Zhen could only shut up. As for informing Boss Bai that Patriarch Shen Chen wanted to imitate the medicine cauldron, it was meaningless. Even if he informed Patriarch Shen Chen, he would still do it. Moreover, Shen Chen was doing this for the sake of the Five Elements sect, so Patriarch Xian Zhen couldn't make this call. As the two were talking, they suddenly closed their mouths at the same time. Someone was coming. It's Little Peach, Tian Chan said when she heard Little Peach's footsteps. Sure enough, the sound of knocking and Little Peach's voice came from outside the room. Young sect master, are you free? I have something to discuss with you. Come in, Little Peach, Tian Chan said directly because Patriarch Xianzhen was not an outsider. Therefore, she did not avoid it. The moment Little Peach entered, she saw that Tian Chan and ancestor Xianzhen seemed to be concocting pills, so she hurriedly asked, Young sect master, am I disturbing you? It's fine, I won't disturb you. Tian Chan waved her hand and said, Little Peach, if you have something to say, just say it. This. Little Peach glanced at Patriarch Xianzhen. She didn't want to hide it from him, but what she wanted to say was too embarrassing. He couldn't say it in front of Xianzhen ancestor. Hihi, I'm going out to get some fresh air. Patriarch Xianzhen stood up and walked out of the room with a smile. He wasn't going to get some fresh air, but to guard the door for Tian Chan. It seemed that Little Peach was going to say something important. After Patriarch Xianzhen left, Little Peach let out a sigh of relief. Although she knew that with Patriarch Xianzhen's strength, he could easily eavesdrop even if he was outside, it was fine as long as it wasn't in front of him. Young sect master. Today, Brother Kang looked for me. Little Peach said with a slightly red face. When Tian Chan heard Kang Mingming's name, she immediately frowned and asked vigilantly, Kang Mingming? Why did he look for you? He said that he actually still likes me. Little Peach told Tian Chan everything that Kang Mingming had said to her. She didn't hide it, but she didn't want to lie to Tian Chan. In Little Peach's mind, Tian Chan was very knowledgeable and could help her make decisions on these matters. Nonsense. Tian Chan heard Little Peach's retelling and rebuked her mercilessly. Little Peach, he lied to you. After he broke up with you, Patriarch Xianzhen suggested marrying your daughter to him. It wasn't before this. You have to be clear about the timing. Don't be deceived by his flowery words. At this moment, Little Peach's mind suddenly went blank. Although it was hard for her to accept this fact, she also knew that Tian Chan wouldn't lie to her. Although Tian Chan's personality was very cold, she definitely wouldn't lie about this kind of thing. However, why would Kang Mingming lie to her? What was the reason? Little Peach wanted to run and argue with Kang Mingming now and ask him why he lied to her. Looking at Little Peach's appearance, how could Tian Chan not guess what she was thinking? So she said lightly, Little Peach, Kang Mingming is an unreliable person. For his own interests, he can do anything. He can betray you today, and he can betray his master the day after tomorrow. Don't take it to heart. As for arguing with him, there's no need to go. Then, should I refuse him? Little Peach hesitated and said, Don't refuse him. You agree to him, and then we'll see what his purpose is. Tian Chan had some doubts about Kang Mingming suddenly looking for Little Peach to talk about these things. She wanted to see what kind of trick he was playing, so she wanted Little Peach to beat him at his own game. Okay, young master, then I agree to him. Let's see what his purpose is. Little Peach nodded. Take this elixir, and then follow me. Tian Chan suddenly took out a small porcelain bottle from her arms, poured out an elixir, and handed it to Little Peach. This is concealment elixir. Little Peach was slightly stunned. Although she was not an alchemist, as Tian Chan's maid, she usually heard and saw the name and use of some elixirs. The function of this concealment elixir was to make a person's breath become hidden. If she didn't make any movements, even a heaven stage master would be hard to find. However, this thing could be used to inquire about information, but it couldn't be used to assassinate people. After all, as long as a little bit of mental cultivation method was used, the effect of this elixir would be lost, unless ordinary people took it or the cultivator didn't use mental cultivation method. But this was used to inquire about information. At other times, it was not very useful. And this elixir was a third-grade elixir. It was very difficult to refine, so few alchemists would refine these things. The elixir in Tian Chan's hand was a few elixir that Tian Chan refined when she was practicing third-grade elixir. She didn't expect that it would come in handy at this moment. Chapter 3145. Tian Chan's strength was at the peak of the late stage of heaven stage. Although Patriarch Xian Chen was at the great perfection of the late stage of Heaven stage, if Tian Chan wanted to hide her movements, Patriarch Xian Chen would definitely not be able to detect it. As long as Tian Chan did not circulate the mantra and Patriarch Xian Chen did not take the initiative to look for her, there was almost no problem. Visit download text / Little Peach had also taken the concealment pill, so it was naturally impossible for Patriarch Xian Chen to discover her. The two of them quietly came to Patriarch Xuanchen's window, and at this time, Kang Mingming just happened to enter Patriarch Xuanchen's room. "You're back." Patriarch Xian Chen glanced at Kang Mingming and nodded. "How's the situation?" "Father-in-law, everything went smoothly. Little Peach, that silly girl, believed what I said and thought that I was in love with her. She agreed to my suggestion," Kang Zhaoming said proudly. "That's right." Little Peach, who was next to Tian Chan, heard Kang Mingming's words, and her body trembled visibly. Her eyes flashed with deep indignation and anger. She did not expect Kang Mingming to deceive her again. He actually said such words in front of Patriarch Xian Chen. Sure enough, Tian Chan was right. Kang Mingming was not reliable at all. "Yes, but you have to be careful. Don't let me know that there is actually something between you and her." Patriarch Xian Chen nodded and said, "Don't worry, father-in-law. With Little Peach's appearance, who would like her? I'm disgusted even if I turn off the lights and go to bed." Kang Mingming hurriedly said, "She is far inferior to Little 11. They are not on the same level at all. I used to get close to her to curry favor with the Sky Silkworm transformation, but now that I have a backer like father-in-law, I don't need to curry favor with others. Alright, since that's the case, you can go and formulate a plan." Ancestor Xian Chen nodded and said with satisfaction. Although Kang Mingming's actions of pursuing Little Peach in order to curry favor with the Sky Silkworm transformation were shameless in the eyes of ordinary people, Ancestor Xian Chen was a sinister person. In his eyes, Kang Mingming was a promising talent. Kang Mingming was sinister, but it was enough as long as he didn't do anything sinister to him. "Father-in-law, I'll take my leave now." Kang Mingming turned around and left. Outside the window, Little Peach was trembling with anger and her face was pale. She had never expected that Kang Mingming had been using her to get close to Tian Chan. Tears streamed down Little Peach's face. Although she had been sad when Kang Mingming had rejected her, she had never been this sad. Tian Chan patted Little Peach's shoulder gently and left quietly with her. When they left, Ancestor Xian Chen seemed to have sensed Little Peach's emotional fluctuations. He walked to the window and opened it, only to see a disciple passing by not far away. He shook his head and felt that he had been overly suspicious. "Young sect master, I'm sorry. In the past, I did say a lot of good things about Kang Mingming in front of you," Little Peach said sadly and regretfully when she saw Kang Mingming's true colors. "It's okay. I don't blame you. It's human nature to say good things about your lover." Tian Chan waved her hand and said, "I brought you there because I wanted you to see Kang Mingming clearly and not be deceived by him in the future. Young sect master, don't worry. I will sever all ties with him," Little Peach said firmly. "That's not necessary. You can beat him at his own game and see what he and martial uncle Xian Chen want to do." Tian Chan guessed that Kang Mingming and Ancestor Xian Chen were brewing some sinister plan again. At this time, Little Peach was responsible for helping to inquire about information, so Tian Chan could save some time for investigation. Although it was okay to let Sky Butterfly secretly follow them, Tian Chan would try not to use Sky Butterfly if she could. After all, walking too much at night would also make people encounter ghosts. Sky Butterfly's secret could not be discovered by Ancestor Xian Chen. "Okay, young sect master, Little Peach will listen to you." Little Peach nodded quickly and said, "What should I do?" "What does Kang Mingming want you to do? Just agree and tell me." "I will tell you what to do," said Tian Chan. "Okay, young sect master," Little Peach replied. Blood-clothed Netherworld sect. Ancestor Eerie Woods, I have already investigated. Lin Yi became a cripple some time ago and is in danger. He was poisoned by a poison hidden in the Zhao family. He can't use his true qi, and his meridians are all broken. He has become a cripple. It will be easy to kill him. Ancestor Eerie Woods, the chief steward of blood-clothed Netherworld sect, reported to Ancestor Yellow Spring. Oh. Then you mean we should send someone to kill Lin Yi now? Ancestor Yellow Spring asked. This. I also said that it was some time ago. Now Lin Yi has recovered and is full of energy. Ancestor Eerie Woods said with a bitter smile. Fuck. Ancestor Yellow Spring couldn't help but curse. What the fuck were you doing before? Why didn't you say so earlier? You only said it after he recovered. Aren't you saying it after the fact? What's the point? The intelligence team just reported it to me, so I came to report it to you immediately. Ancestor Eerie Woods also felt a little wronged. The intelligence team is a bunch of good-for-nothings. I don't like them from the beginning. Didn't you teach them a lesson? Eerie Woods, don't you know that information is the most important thing in the assassination business? Ancestor Yellow Spring said resentfully. Old Ancestor Yellow Spring, you know that we're an ancient sect. The habit of inquiring about information has been passed down from ancient times. These people rely on their legs and mouths. They don't use modern technological equipment at all. Ancestor Eerie Woods explained, if it's about the matters and people in the cultivation world, then there's no problem. But when it comes to the people in the secular world, it's difficult because we, the blood-clothed Netherworld sect, are an assassination organization in the cultivation world. We don't touch the targets of the secular world at all. Who would have thought that we would encounter a weirdo like Lin Yi? What you said makes sense. Ancestor Yellow Spring nodded and agreed with Ancestor Eerie Woods' words. He was not as angry as before. But this efficiency is not good. It's always hindsight. Where are we going to get revenge? This time, it's not all hindsight. I've also received some other news regarding Lin Yi. Old Ancestor Yellow Springs, I'll tell you in detail. Old Ancestor Eerie Woods said quickly. About Lin Yi? Alright, go ahead. I hope it's good news, Ancestor Yellow Spring said with a nod. Chapter 3146. You call this good news? Ancestor Netherworld frowned. This Lin Yi can actually kill an expert at the peak of the middle stage of Heaven stage. How strong is he? According to the investigation, he is at the early stage of Heaven stage. Ancestor Eerie Woods said. When he was at the Earth stage, he could kill a Heaven stage in seconds. Now that he is at the Heaven stage, it seems that if we want to kill Lin Yi, you will have to do it yourself. Maybe, it will be safer if you and I go together. Ancestor Netherworld was not a fool. If Lin Yi could kill a peak of the middle stage of Heaven stage, who could guarantee that Lin Yi could not kill a peak of the late stage of Heaven stage? According to many investigations, he had always underestimated Lin Yi's strength, which brought immeasurable and painful consequences to the blood-clothed Netherworld sect. Therefore, this time, Ancestor Netherworld was no longer arrogant. He became smarter and more cautious. That's right. However, there is another piece of news that has not been confirmed. Several other Heaven stage experts from the Dongfang clan also died in the hands of Lin Yi. Moreover, they were killed in seconds. Therefore, Lin Yi's combat strength cannot be estimated for the time being, Ancestor Eerie Woods said. Moreover, the most important thing is that Lin Yi made a fool out of Heavenly Elixir Sect's elder Kang Mingming a while ago, but Heavenly Elixir Sect did nothing about it. They have no intention of touching Lin Yi at all. Others may not know, but we know that Heavenly Elixir Sect is backed by the Five Elements Sect. Oh, what's going on? Ancestor Netherworld asked quickly after listening. It's like this. Lin Yi invented a first-grade automatic medicine cauldron that can automatically refine elixirs. Ancestor Eerie Woods told Ancestor Netherworld about Lin Yi's recent movements. It's not that the Five Elements Sect does not touch Lin Yi, but they are worried about the Cultivator Trade Association. However, I'm a little worried about Lin Yi. Let's go and find him. Don't fail miserably. Old Ancestor Yellow Spring pondered for a moment and said, Yeah, that's why I don't agree with making Lin Yi our enemy. Eerie Ancestor nodded and said, So, other than that, the intelligence team has a suggestion. Because Lin Yi is too strange, we can attack Lin Yi's family. As long as Lin Yi's family dies, Lin Yi will be heartbroken. It will also be considered as a disguised blow to Lin Yi, and it will also be revenge. All right. Ask the intelligence team to find out who Lin Yi's family is and where they are as soon as possible, Old Ancestor Yellow Spring said. Yes, this subordinate will go and investigate. Old Ancestor Eerie Woods hurriedly agreed. In fact, there was no need to investigate. The reason why the intelligence team made this suggestion was because they had already gotten some results from their investigation. Therefore, not long after Patriarch Eerie Woods went back to understand the situation, he brought the person in charge of the Yellow Spring sect's intelligence team to Patriarch Yellow Spring. This subordinate, Flying Cat, greets the Old Ancestor Yellow Spring. The person in charge of the intelligence team was called Flying Cat, and he did have the ability to leap onto roofs and vault over walls. However, his ability was limited to the cultivation world, and he wasn't as good at getting information about the common world. This was also the reason why it took so long to investigate Lin Yi. According to Eerie Woods, you've already found out about Lin Yi's family? Old Ancestor Yellow Spring asked. He was quite happy this time. The efficiency of the intelligence team almost made him curse out loud, even though his mother had died a long time ago. Yes, Old Ancestor Yellow Spring. According to my investigation, the women closest to Lin Yi are Meng Yaro, Yushu, Tang Yun, Xiao Xiao, Wang Xinyan, and Han Jingjing. These are the ones who are closer to Lin Yi. The rest don't appear around Lin Yi often, so I didn't investigate further. Flying Cat said. Oh, so you're saying that if we kill all these women, Lin Yi will be sad? But that Chu something Yaro, why does that name sound so familiar? I think I've heard it somewhere before. Old Ancestor Yellow Spring asked. You're wise, Old Ancestor Yellow Spring. Flying Cat nodded. This Chu Mengyaro is the inheritor of the Dark Palace. She's also the reason why the Grand Elder of the Dark Palace and the ancient Dongfang House became enemies. Then what are you talking about? Do we dare touch someone like that? If she dies, our Bloodcloak Yellow Spring sect will become the public enemy of the ancient world. Old Ancestor Yellow Spring frowned. Even if the Bloodcloak Yellow Spring sect was one of the more unique ones in the ancient world, and people didn't dare mess with them easily, but if they were to go against the interests of the entire ancient world, the only result would be death. And so, Old Ancestor Yellow Spring was very annoyed. Can't you say something useful? The useful thing is that we can't touch any of these women. Flying Cat smiled bitterly. Not a single one of them. What do you mean? Old Ancestor Yellow Spring paused, thinking that he heard wrong. Yushu, if our investigation is correct, she should be the inheritor of the fire element that the Five Elements sect has been secretly nurturing through the hidden House Yu, and Tang Yun is the inheritor of the Snow Valley, and she is now the elder of the Snow Valley. Xiao Xiao is the heir of Ice Palace, and is now the vice leader of Ice Palace. As for Han Jingjing, she was Five Elements sect. She was the student of Patriarch Profound Heaven. However, she was not an ordinary student, but a student who could concoct pills. Patriarch Profound Heaven valued her greatly, so even Patriarch Profound Earth didn't dare to make a move against her. As for Wang Xinyan, she's an elder of the Sky Elixir sect, and the fiancé of Elder Xuanshan's son-in-law, Kang Mingming's big brother Kang Jiaolong. She's not easy to touch. Flying Cat explained. Fuck. Old Ancestor Yellow Spring couldn't take it anymore. At the end of the day, this Lin Yi is surrounded by people related to the Five Elements sect, so how are we supposed to kill them? No matter who we kill, our Bloodcloak Yellow Spring sect will die. Even if we kill the people from the Day and Day sect, we can't touch people related to the Five Elements sect. This. Old Ancestor Yellow Spring, please let me finish. Flying Cat said helplessly, I'm just reporting the results of my investigation, but that doesn't mean we can't touch the people I'm about to say. Oh, go on then. Who else can we touch around Lin Yi? Asked Old Ancestor Huang Quan with a frown. We can't touch the women around Lin Yi, but we can touch his family, Flying Cat said. According to our investigation, Lin Yi has returned to a place called Star West Village a few times, and there's a grandfather there. Of course, we can't find out the specifics, only that his surname is Lin, and he's just a normal villager in the common world. It's not worth investigating his name. All we know is that he's a traveling doctor. Chapter 3147. That's right. No matter how I think about it, only this person's death will make Lin Yi sad, and we won't get into any trouble. Flying Cat nodded. Otherwise, Killing any of the women around Lin Yi will cause great trouble. Only this old man's death will be fine. So, I suggest that we kill this old man. Oh, since he's just a country bumpkin, can we just send any golden class expert to deal with him? Old Ancestor Yellow Spring said indifferently. That won't do. Flying Cat shook his head. I'm afraid that what if Lin Yi goes back? That's true. In that case, Yin Sen and I will personally go and kill this old man first. Then, we'll wait for Lin Yi to come and die. Originally, Old Ancestor Yellow Spring was also very worried about going to the secular world to deal with Lin Yi. After all, the blood-clothed Yellow Spring sect was different from the ancient sects. There was no such thing as revenge in the assassin group. Once they accepted the task, they would either kill or be killed. If the assassin group also participated in the revenge, it would be a mess. However, because Lin Yi was a rogue cultivator and Lin Yi didn't have any influence when they investigated him, the blood-clothed Yellow Spring sect chose to retaliate. However, this was done secretly. If it was done in the open, the other ancient sects wouldn't be happy. If the blood-clothed Yellow Spring sect came to kill me, and I was lucky enough not to be killed, would you send endless people to continue killing me? This obviously went against the original intention of the task and broke the rules. The blood-clothed Yellow Spring sect was not allowed to act in the secular world. This was not only a rule of the ancient level, but also a promise that the blood-clothed Yellow Spring sect was forced to make. This promise was also a promise to the assassin group in the secular world. They would never cross the boundary of the world of assassins and would never touch the secular world. Although it sounded a bit funny, the blood-clothed Yellow Spring sect was like a high and mighty ancient sect. How could they compromise with a secular assassin group? Yet, they compromised. There was no other reason but because the biggest assassin group in the secular world was one of the two ruthless people who swept through the ancient level. Mr. Yang, one of the dual fiends of Vaja, was in charge. When he faced Mr. Yang, Bloodrobes and Yellow Spring sect's master, the king of assassins in the cultivation world, had no choice but to lower his head and follow Mr. Yang out of Bloodrobes and Yellow Spring sect. Although the departure of the king of assassins in the cultivation world was known throughout the ancient times, no one knew that Mr. Yang was the king of assassins in the secular world. This was the inside story of the assassin industry. Without Mr. Yang's permission, the blood-clothed Yellow Spring sect would attack. He didn't dare to make it public. What's more, this wasn't something to be proud of. An assassin organization in the cultivation world bowed down to an assassin organization in the secular world. This was simply an unimaginable fantasy. Even though those two ruthless men had disappeared for more than a decade, they were still able to survive. Moreover, the other ancient and hidden planes had also begun to gradually forget about the negative influence brought by these two ruthless people. However, it would be best if they could get rid of Lin Yi without breaking the promise of the past. After all, in the hearts of Yellow Spring and Bloodrobes, the two ruthless dual fiends of Vaja had already cast a shadow over them. The West Star Mountain village was remote and basically couldn't be considered as the secular world. Killing Lin Yi's relatives there and then attracting Lin Yi to kill Lin Yi wouldn't be considered breaking the promise of the past. Why don't let blood-clothed ancestor take action? You and him are both experts at the peak of the late stage of heaven stage. Even if Lin Yi is strange, the three of us together will be able to kill Lin Yi. Gloomy Ancestor suggested cautiously. All right, blood-clothed ancestor is about to come out of seclusion. It's a good time to relax and kill some people. Ancestor Yellow Spring pondered for a moment and nodded in agreement. If that's the case, it'll be hard for Lin Yi to not die. Gloomy Ancestor laughed sinisterly. Heavenly Elixir Sect. Kang Ming Ming came up with a plan and looked for Little Peach again. On the surface, Little Peach didn't seem to notice anything and still looked forward to being with Kang Ming Ming in the future. However, in her heart, she was already completely disappointed in Kang Ming Ming. Brother Kang, you asked Little Peach to come because that matter has been confirmed. What do you need Little Peach to do? Little Peach asked very enthusiastically. It's like this. This time, there's a very good opportunity to arrange for you to go to Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company and become Kang Xiaobo's secretary. Kang Ming Ming said, previously, Kang Xiaobo's secretary resigned. Currently, the The company is recruiting, but they need a certain understanding of pharmacology. And you meet this requirement. You have professional research on medicinal herbs and pharmacology. I believe that this position will not be difficult for you at all. Because a secretary is also a servant, and you are also the servant of the young master in Heavenly Elixir sect. So, these things will be easy for you. Originally, Kang Mingming was still thinking about how to send Little Peach to Kang Xiaobo's side and let her get close to Kang Xiaobo. He wanted to use some tricks, but he didn't expect such an opportunity to suddenly appear in front of him. This made Kang Mingming inexplicably happy. This was simply tailor-made for Little Peach. Actually, some time ago, Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company was in a crisis, and the secretary beside Kang Xiaobo, because of his poor foresight, felt that Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company would not be able to recover. So, he submitted his resignation letter. Because Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company was in a bad situation, Kang Xiaobo didn't hire a new secretary until Liu Jinghan's first-grade automatic cauldron was sold, and Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company was back on the right track. Fatty Lai and Kang Xiaobo heaved a sigh of relief, and then they started to hire again. They replaced the employees who left when the company was in a crisis, and one of them was Kang Xiaobo's secretary. This created a good opportunity for Kang Mingming. He effortlessly sent Little Peach away. He didn't even need to make up a story. Okay, then I'll go apply for the job now. But how do I apply for leave from the young master? Little Peach quickly nodded and asked, then, does that mean I won't be taken advantage of? That won't work. Haven't you heard of this saying? If the boss doesn't have anything to do, the secretary does. If you don't get taken advantage of, then how can you get close to Kang Xiaobo and make him trust you so that you can steal the technology of the first-grade automatic cauldron? Kang Mingming shook his head and said, it's okay, I won't despise you. Just treat it as you sacrificing yourself for me. Little Peach, don't worry. Chapter 31:48. Peach, on the other hand, treated it as a joke. Her face didn't change at all. Then, would Xiaobo be interested in someone like me? He is a big boss. What kind of woman hasn't he seen? How can he like me? This is not necessarily true. My cousin has a special hobby. The women he likes are different from others. He even likes the cripple, let alone you. When Kang Mingming said this, he suddenly realized that he had made a slip of the tongue. He quickly explained, Little Peach, of course, I'm not saying that you are not good-looking. You are a talented woman with inner beauty. I believe that Kang Xiaobo will discover this when the time comes. You don't have to worry. As long as you are willing to put in some effort, you can definitely get him hooked. Okay, then I'll try. Little Peach nodded. If it was before, she would definitely be angry when Kang Mingming said this to her. But now, Kang Mingming was just a passerby in her eyes. There was nothing to be angry about. Remember, no matter what, you must please Kang Xiaobo and get the information. Kang Mingming said, only when we get the information can we be together in the future. Otherwise, Master will definitely not allow me to marry a second wife. I got it. Little Peach despised in her heart. Even if I get the information, Patriarch Shen Chen will not agree to let me be your concubine. If that's the case, then you go and prepare. Then, I will ask Master to inform the young sect master. I believe that with Patriarch Shen Chen, the young sect master will not obstruct us for such a small matter. Kang Mingming said. Brother Kang, then I'll go first. Little Peach nodded. Looking at Little Peach's back as she left, Kang Mingming's mouth flashed a sneer. It just so happens that I don't know how to deal with Little Peach. This time, I can give her to my brother who likes to pick up used shoes. TSK, it's really a bargain for Kang Xiaobo. I haven't even touched Little Peach, but with her trashy looks, even if I touch her, I won't be interested. After Little Peach left, she immediately went to Tian Chan's room. She told Tian Chan everything that Kang Mingming had told her today. Tian Chan frowned slightly. In that case, Patriarch Shen Chen and Kang Mingming wanted to deal with Lin Yi. They wanted to obtain the manufacturing information of first-grade automatic medicinal cauldrons from Lin Yi. Sure enough, he hadn't let Little Peach feign ignorance for nothing. He had actually obtained such an important piece of information. Should he warn Lin Yi? However, after pondering for a moment, Tian Chan gave up on this idea. Firstly, she wanted to inform Lin Yi at this time. It was easy to be exposed. Secondly, what identity should she use to inform Lin Yi? And, most importantly, Little Peach had already betrayed Kang Mingming. Therefore, Tian Chan didn't have to worry that Little Peach would really betray Lin Yi, so she nodded and said, "I understand. You can leave first, I will think of a way." "Okay, young master." Little Peach knew that Tian Chan wouldn't harm her, so she left with peace of mind. After Little Peach left, Tian Chan suddenly said, "Tian Dai, come in." A black shadow floated in from the window. It was Tian Dai. "Young master." Tian Dai's face was cold and she said respectfully to Tian Chan, "Tian Dai, go investigate the information about Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company, Kang Xiaobo, and then come back to me immediately." Tian Chan ordered Tian Dai. "Yes, young master." Tian Dai replied and disappeared again in the blink of an eye. Not long after Tian Dai left, there were footsteps outside Tian Chan's door. If Tian Chan didn't hear wrongly, the person who came was Ancestor Shen Chen. She didn't expect Ancestor Shen Chen to come in person. This was a great honor, and it also showed Ancestor Xuanshen's determination to send Little Peach out. If Ancestor Shen Chen had casually greeted Tian Chan previously, it was possible for her to refuse. But now that Ancestor Shen Chen had come in person, if Tian Chan refused again, it would not only arouse suspicion, but Tian Chan wouldn't be able to resist Ancestor Xuanshen's anger. After all, the reason why the entire Heavenly Elixir sect could become the leader of the ancient sects was not only because of alchemy, but also because of the support of the Five Elements sect. Without the support of the Five Elements sect, the Heavenly Elixir sect was just a small alchemy sect, and it was impossible for it to grow so quickly. Therefore, whether from the perspective of public or private, Tian Chan couldn't refuse. "Sky Silkworm transformation, what are you busy with?" Under Little Peach's guidance, Ancestor Shen Chen smiled and walked into Tian Chan's room. Behind him was Kang Mingming. "Sky Silkworm transformation greets Uncle Master Shen Chen." Tian Chan hurriedly greeted. "May I know why Uncle Master Shen Chen has come here personally? If you have any errands, just call me over." "Hehe, actually, it's not a big deal." Ancestor Shen Chen shook his head and smiled. "Isn't it because of me, his son-in-law? I think you know about the matter between him and your maidservant, Little Peach. Although he married my daughter, he still has Little Peach, his first love, in his heart. At first, I was against it. Naturally, I didn't want my daughter to snatch a man from another woman. However, I don't know what Zhaoming told my daughter, but she actually agreed to let him take a concubine and let Little Peach become his concubine. Since my daughter has said so, as a father, it's not good for me to be a villain. So, it's better to fulfill their wish. Anyway, my daughter is willing, so I can't say anything, right?" Tian Chan naturally didn't believe Ancestor Xuanshen's nonsense, but on the surface, she had to pretend to be very surprised. "Is that so? So that's how it is. Uncle Master, what do you mean?" "Well, Zhaoming has nothing to do recently. I asked him to bring Little Peach home to visit his family. It might take a while, so I specially came over to tell you to take a leave," Ancestor Shen Chen said. "Anyway, you have a maidservant, Tianxi, now. You don't need Little Peach, so there's no problem, right?" "Of course there's no problem. Since Uncle Master Shen Chen has spoken, and the person involved is also willing, I can't stop it." Tian Chan smiled and said, "We are an ancient sect, and we still have the customs of ancient times. Polygamy is within reason, and in my eyes, it is very normal. Even I am like this, so how can I ask my subordinates to do it?" After all, the image of Tian Chan in the outside world was that she was elegant and had many women, so there was no problem with her words. However, these words were purely for Kang Mingming to hear. Chapter 3149. "Thank you, young master." Kang Mingming quickly cupped his fist and said. He didn't expect Tian Silkworm to be so easy to talk to. She agreed without stopping him at all. But thinking about it, his father-in-law was here in person. How could Tian Silkworm, as a junior, not give him face? Ancestor Shen Chen was very satisfied. He thought that he would have to spend a lot of time talking. He didn't expect Tian Chan to be so reasonable. However, Ancestor Xian Chen considered the problem from the perspective of Tian Chan being a girl. Now, it seemed that Tian Chan's personality had become more like a man after years of disguise. Therefore, Ancestor Xian Chen didn't suspect anything and left with Kang Mingming. High-quality update. After Ancestor Xian Chen left with Kang Mingming, only Tian Chan and Little Peach were left in the room. Tian Chan said, "When the time comes, go to Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company and do what you need to do. You can build a good relationship with Kang Xiaobo, but you don't have to seduce him. You don't have to care about what Kang Mingming said to you. Just do your job. As for the information, don't think about it for now." "Yes, young master," Little Peach quickly agreed. To be honest, if she didn't have to sacrifice her body, Little Peach would be very willing to go to the secular world to see the world. After all, she had lived in the Heavenly Elixir sect since she was a child and had never been exposed to the outside world. Although she wouldn't complain, who wouldn't yearn for those new things? If possible, Little Peach would be very willing to go to the secular world. High-quality update. Tian Dai was very efficient. That night, a piece of information about Kang Xiaobo was sent to Tian Chan. Blood Cloak Underworld sect didn't use some high-tech methods, but Tian Dai didn't rule out the possibility that Tian Dai wouldn't use it. There were many reports about Kang Xiaobo and Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company. As for Kang Xiaobo, she would know more or less after asking his former classmates. When Tian Chan saw that Kang Xiaobo was Lin Yi's first follower, she couldn't help but be surprised. She didn't expect Kang Xiaobo and Lin Yi to have such a relationship. Kang Xiaobo was Lin Yi's follower, and Little Peach was her maid. If Little Peach really followed Kang Xiaobo, it wouldn't be a loss. Suddenly, Tian Chan realized that she was thinking too much. Why did she suddenly think of these messy things? This made Tian Chan's face slightly hot. Fortunately, there was only Tian Dai in the room. Tian Dai worshipped Tian Chan blindly. She wouldn't think that there was anything wrong with Tian Chan, nor would she doubt Tian Chan's matters. This Xiao Fen is a woman that Kang Mingming dumped in the past, and she jumped off a building? A cripple too? Tian Chan was a little surprised. This Xiaobo was too much of a love falling for Fen. As for the matter of Xiao Fen's leg recovering, Tian Chan didn't find it strange. She fell down the cliff and was about to die, but Lin Yi still saved her. A leg wasn't a problem for Lin Yi. High-quality update. However, these matters also made Tian Chan come to a conclusion. Kang Xiaobo was a good person. This made her feel at ease about Little Peach's matter. After asking Tian Dai to leave, Tian Chan called Little Peach over again. "Young sect master, you were looking for me?" Little Peach didn't know why Tian Chan called her over so quickly. Kang Xiaobo is a good person. If possible, he is a good choice. Tian Chan said faintly. Even Tian Chan herself didn't understand why she said this. Just to find an identity illusion? Ah! Little Peach was stunned. She didn't expect Tian Chan to say this. "Young sect master, nothing. This is Kang Xiaobo's information. Take a look. I just think that if you stay in the Heavenly Elixir sect, you will be killed by Kang Mingming sooner or later. Staying in the secular world is an opportunity," Tian Chan said and put a stack of information in front of Little Peach. "Young sect master, I don't want to leave you. Don't chase me away, okay?" Little Peach was shocked and quickly said, "Who said I want to chase you away? I just want you to stay in the secular world. Maybe one day I don't want to be the young sect master anymore. Maybe I will go to you. At that time, you can still see me." Tian Chan said, "You should understand what I mean." "Ah, I understand." Little Peach was slightly stunned. Then, she remembered that Tian Chan was a woman. So, in the future, the Heavenly Elixir sect must continue the family line, but Tian Chan couldn't. She could only take over Tian Chan's position and then give birth to a new young sect master. However, Little Peach would never think that Tian Chan's idea was just because Kang Xiaobo was Lin Yi's little brother. Well, take a look at this information. You can also understand Kang Xiaobo and have a response. Tian Chan nodded and said, "Okay, young sect master." Little Peach picked up Kang Xiaobo's information. This information was very detailed. From when Kang Xiaobo was in the same class as Lin Yi in school, to the conflict with Kang Mingming's family, to attending the birthday banquet with Xiao Fen, avenging Xiao Fen, and then becoming the vice CEO of Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company. Everything was written clearly. Actually, when Tian Chan first got this information, she also felt that it was very magical. Lin Yi was actually a student. Moreover, from the information, Lin Yi seemed to be unable to go against the secular houses. The secular house you already made Lin Yi very afraid, let alone the hidden houses. However, in a short period of less than a year, he grew to such a level. It was really unbelievable. From a golden class master to a sky class master, he used less than a year. Tian Chan suddenly felt a sense of defeat. She and Bingtang were the top prodigies in the ancient world. Other than people like Zhong Naipao who used extreme methods to train, people like them who didn't use medicinal pellets to break through to sky class were very rare. Even so, they used more than 10 years, unlike Lin Yi who stepped into sky class in less than a year. Before, Tian Chan still felt that her position and Lin Yi's were too far apart, and they wouldn't have the chance to be together in this lifetime. But now that she looked at this information, Tian Chan's heart was suddenly filled with anticipation. If Lin Yi was given a period of time, the ancient world would no longer be an obstacle for Lin Yi. Just like the former noble house level and the hidden level, they would all become the stepping stones for Lin Yi to rise to the top. And at that moment, even the Xianchen old ancestor wouldn't be able to pose a threat to Lin Yi. Now Tian Chen also understood why the Xianchen old ancestor was so afraid of Lin Yi. In time, they probably wouldn't be Lin Yi's opponent anymore. Chapter 3150. Because according to Tian Chan's research, Lin Yi was the most powerful existence in the same level at every level. It was a very easy thing for Lin Yi to fight against enemies of a higher level. If Lin Yi was promoted to the peak of the late stage of Heaven stage, would he become the number one in the world? The number one person under the heavenly Tao. This was not a joke, it was very possible. Of course, Tian Chan omitted this information and did not give it to Little Peach. The information that Little Peach looked at was basically about Kang Xiaobo, and there were only a few pieces of information about Lin Yi. Kang Mingming. So he is such a bad person? Little Peach looked at the information, her eyes full of anger. Previously, she was fascinated by Kang Mingming, but now it seemed that she was too stupid. Little Peach, you finally saw through him? Tian Chan shook her head and said, Kang Mingming is a person who is blinded by greed. When he first joined the Heavenly Elixir sect, I felt that this person's nature was not good, but seeing that you like him, I didn't say much. Now it seems that you and him did not continue to develop, otherwise you will still suffer in the future. One day, if Kang Mingming meets a stronger backer, he can also get rid of Little 11 and old ancestor Shen Chen. Sigh, young sect leader, thank you for reminding me. Otherwise, I would have thought that Kang Mingming was forced to do this. Little Peach sighed. She did not expect that her beautiful first love would end so cruelly. In the future, she would also learn to be smart and not easily trust others. Alright, you pack up and go to Xiaobo's company. Xiaobo's a nice guy, if he likes you, I'll be happy to meet him. If he likes you, you will have a good marriage. Tian Chan had a good impression of Kang Xiaobo. Besides, how bad could Lin Yi's little brother be? Moreover, truth be told, Tian Chan's other goal was to get in touch with Lin Yi through Little Peach and Kang Xiaobo. Since Kang Xiaobo was a really good person, and the ancient sect didn't pay much attention to the first wife and second wife, Tian Chan felt that Kang Xiaobo was a good person. This was a good home for Little Peach. Ah! Little Peach was stunned. She didn't expect that Tian Chan would ask her to get in touch with Kang Xiaobo. Little Peach was not a person who couldn't tell right from wrong. When she saw Kang Xiaobo's introduction, she knew that Kang Xiaobo was a good man. Compared with Kang Mingming, they were like heaven and earth. It would be a lie to say that Little Peach did not have a good impression of such a man. However, Little Peach had just suffered an emotional setback. Let her walk out of the shadow and start another love. It wasn't easy. At least, she was a little disappointed and didn't dare to fall in love. Young sect leader. I want to serve you for the rest of my life. I don't want to get married. Little Peach hesitated and said, "Hee hee. If you can be with Kang Xiaobo, maybe in the future, you will still be by my side." Tian Chan smiled mysteriously. "Ah, what do you mean? Young sect leader, do you also like Kang Xiaobo?" Little Peach was slightly stunned. Tian Chan suddenly had black lines on her forehead. "I don't like Kang Xiaobo." "Okay, don't ask. Quickly pack up and report to me if there's any news." "Oh, okay." Young sect leader, Little Peach nodded and went to pack her things. After the baptism of ups and downs in Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Company, a portion of the employees who were uncertain about the company resigned and went elsewhere. As for those who were loyal to the company, Fatty Lai and Kang Xiaobo raised their positions and salaries accordingly, making them happy for their choice. Little Peach, with her excellent theoretical knowledge and well-educated image, successfully overcame all obstacles and became Kang Xiaobo's new secretary. As for the new secretary, Kang Xiaobo was very happy. Even Fatty Lai was jealous. Fatty Lai's secretary was also someone who got in through connections, and he also resigned this time. However, Little Peach applied for the position of vice president's secretary and not the CEO's secretary, so Fatty Lai couldn't take her away. So, on the first day of the recruitment, Little Peach immediately took up the position. Her strong professional knowledge made Kang Xiaobo look at her in a different light, and he started to rely on her more and more. As for Little Peach's successful promotion, Kang Mingming was very excited, especially when Kang Xiaobo trusted Little Peach more and more. Kang Mingming felt that the day when he got a first-grade medicine cauldron was not far away. Because of Tian Chan's first impression, Little Peach's impression of Kang Xiaobo was very good. In the company, because she was only responsible for Kang Xiaobo, she was in contact with Kang Xiaobo every day, and this made Little Peach pay more and more attention to Kang Xiaobo. However, what made Kang Mingming disappointed was that the information Little Peach sent back had nothing to do with first-grade automatic medicine cauldrons, and the work and financial reports that Kang Xiaobo handled every day had nothing to do with first-grade automatic medicine cauldron. Either the processed first-grade automatic medicine cauldrons weren't handled by Kang Xiaobo, or the first-grade automatic medicine cauldrons weren't produced by Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company at all. As Little Peach became more and more trusted by Kang Xiaobo, she came into contact with more and more core secrets of Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company. She even came into contact with some of the raw materials and production costs of products such as painkillers and injury medicine, but there was not a single bit of information about first-grade automatic medicine cauldron. Of course, the information Little Peach reported was filtered by Tian Chan. Tian Chan would always pass some information that seemed precious, but was actually useless to Little Peach to pass to Kang Mingming. For example, there were many raw materials for injury medicine and painkillers, but Tian Chan picked out a few of the most common raw materials, and asked Little Peach to tell Kang Mingming so that Kang Mingming wouldn't suspect anything. As for the information about first-grade automatic medicine cauldrons, Little Peach really didn't get it. It wasn't that she purposely hid it. After a period of investigation, Kang Mingming gradually lost his patience. After all, he also guessed that first-grade automatic medicine cauldrons weren't produced by Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company, but by House Liu? Now that he thought about it, it was really possible. Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company was just a name. After all, first-grade automatic medicine cauldrons were electronic devices, while Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company produced medicinal material. After Kang Mingming's investigation, House Liu did own an electronic company. It used to produce computer parts, but now it changed to making first-grade automatic medicine cauldrons. It was possible. Chapter 3151. Thinking of this, Kang Mingming no longer placed his hopes on Little Peach. However, he did not withdraw Little Peach. In his opinion, the further Little Peach went, the better. It would be better if she was no longer by his side. In this way, he would not be annoyed if he did not see her. It would save him the trouble of causing ancestor Shenchen and Little 11 to misunderstand. It had to be said that Kang Mingming was a vicious person. Next, Kang Mingming decided to infiltrate the Liu family's electronics factory. After all, the Liu family's factory was not a monolithic entity. It was very easy to bribe one or two workers. Kang Mingming was familiar with using money to bribe people. Now, he was even more skilled at it. He quickly found a foreman of the electronics factory whose mother was ill and whose family was short of money. He asked him out and met him in a small cafe. "Foreman Su, I want to ask you a few questions. As long as you answer truthfully, this 10,000 yuan is yours." Kang Jiaoming pointed at the bag on the table and said, "Of course, if I'm interested in your answer and you want to continue helping me, then the 500,000 kuai in this box is also yours." To be honest, 10,000 yuan was not very tempting for Chief Foreman Su. After all, his monthly salary was several thousand yuan. 10,000 yuan was not enough for him to sell the company's core secrets. However, there were only a few problems, so Chief Foreman Su nodded. What he was most interested in was the box of 500,000 yuan. If he could get his hands on this box of money, Chief Foreman Su would be able to perform surgery on his bedridden mother. Therefore, Foreman Su nodded without hesitation. "What do you want to know?" "I want to ask you, is the first-grade automatic medicine cauldron produced by your electronics factory?" Kang Ming was very satisfied with Foreman Su's answer. Of course, this was also because before he found Foreman Su, he had done a detailed understanding of Foreman Su. He knew the difficulties of Foreman Su's family. Therefore, he was so confident to put out so much money. Otherwise, if he failed, he might expose his target. In the future, if Lin Yi was on guard, it would be difficult. First-grade automatic medicine cauldron? Chief Worker Su was slightly taken aback. "What is that?" Kang Ming furrowed his brows when he saw Foreman Su's expression. Was he wrong? This first-grade automatic medicine cauldron wasn't manufactured by the Liu family's electronics factory. Kang Ming furrowed his brows. He reluctantly took out the undamaged first-grade automatic medicine cauldron from his backpack and asked, "Take a look. Are you sure this thing hasn't been produced before?" "Ah, you mean this? Isn't this an electric cooker?" Su Changgong pointed at the thing in Kang Ming's hand and said, "This is produced." "Is that what you're asking about? Electric cooker?" Kang Ming was speechless. He nodded and said, "It's this pot." "Are you still producing them?" "Yes, it's still in production, but this pot is made of titanium alloy. The production process is more complicated, and the output is lower. It's also very troublesome to assemble. For this electric cooker, we've updated many of our production lines, and the technicians have undergone new training." Chief Worker Su said, "Mr. Kang, is this what you want to know?" "That's right. This 10,000 is yours." Kang Ming let out a sigh of relief. It seemed like his guess was right. The first-grade automatic medicine cauldron wasn't produced by Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company, but by House Liu's. It seemed like Little Peach's move was wasted, but it didn't matter. He could just treat it as an excuse to send her away. Worker Su's face revealed a relaxed expression. He took the 10,000 yuan from Kang Jiaoming and asked, "Excuse me, what do I need to do next to get this 500,000? "Collect information," Kang Ming said. "As long as you can get me the production process and information for this electric cooker, this 500,000 is yours." After Foreman Su heard this, he suddenly hesitated. He was indeed the foreman, but he was only in charge of one of the processes. He wasn't the foreman of all the processes. He knew the production process and information of one of his processes, but it didn't mean that he knew the production process and information of all the production lines. "I can only give it a try. The production process and information for the production line I'm in charge of are fine, but I'll have to collect the rest slowly." Chief Foreman Su hesitated for a moment before he said, "Of course, there's also the cost of treating you to a meal. You also know that if you want to know these secrets, unless the foreman of the other production lines have a slip of the tongue after getting drunk, or if they've forgotten to put the documents in a place where they can be easily reached, it'll be very difficult to meet your requirements." "You mean, this 500,000 isn't enough?" Kang Ming understood what Chief Worker Su meant. "This 500,000 is my reward. Other than that, I also need 100,000 to treat you to a meal." Chief Worker Su hesitated and said, "Sure, no problem." Kang Ming nodded. He waved to a 5 Elements sect disciple beside him and said, "Go get another 100,000 and give it to Chief Worker Su." "Yes." The disciple nodded and went to do his job. As for Chief Worker Su, A satisfied smile appeared on his face. After finishing this job, he would take his mother far away. The surgery would cost $200,000, and the remaining money would be enough for him to hide his identity and start a small business. After giving the $610,000 to chief worker Su, Kang Ming left his contact information and left quietly. He didn't want to stay in the secular world for too long. If he was discovered by Lin Yi's people, it would be troublesome. Now that chief worker Su was helping him secretly, Kang Ming could save himself a lot of trouble. All he had to do was watch the changes behind the scenes. These days, Lin Yi lived a comfortable life. During the day, Xu Shahan and Cheng Yi would practice singing upstairs, while Yu Shu would sit in the living room and watch TV or go upstairs to watch Xu Shahan and Cheng Yi's performance. Although she looked happy, Lin Yi could see the sadness in the depths of her smile. Lin Yi could guess that Yu Shu was worried about her future, and that Meng Yao's departure had taken a toll on her. She wasn't as playful and happy as she used to be, and that happiness was just a facade. Chapter 3152. Luckily, under Liu Jinghan's supervision, the first-grade cauldrons were selling like hotcakes, saving Lin Yi from having to worry about money. Xiaoke's orphanage was back on the right track as well. However, this seemingly peaceful life made Lin Yi a little worried. Wasn't it a little too peaceful? House Dongfang seemed to have disappeared without a trace, making Lin Yi think that they were planning a bigger conspiracy. Or were they completely afraid? There was also the ancient House Feng Shipian, and Xu Shahan's father, Feng Tianlin, didn't send any more accurate news. Whether Xu Shahan left or continued to be protected by Lin Yi, there was no new news. Anyway, the miss had left the villa, and Xu Shahan had moved in. Since they didn't leave, Lin Yi wanted them to be Yu Shu's companions. After all, Lin Yi was training and researching the forging fire every day, so he didn't have much time to talk to Xu. Xu also didn't disturb Lin Yi. It could be seen that Xu understood that Lin Yi was training hard for her, the miss, Xiao Xiao, and Tang Yun, who he had forgotten. Donghai City was very peaceful, but West Star Village welcomed 3 uninvited guests. These 3 people were the Blood Cloak Ancestor, who had just come out of his closed-door training, the Yellow Spring Ancestor, and the Dark Forest Ancestor, who had the same strength as him. The 3 of them went to West Star Village to look for a traveling doctor called Old Lin. After thorough investigation, this person was the one who raised Lin Yi. He was his foster grandfather, and their relationship was similar to that of a real grandfather. As long as this person died, Lin Yi would definitely go to West Star Village. At that time, it would be Lin Yi's death. No matter how powerful Lin Yi was, the Yellow Spring Ancestor believed that the 2 of them, who had the strength of a peak late-phase heaven class, would definitely be able to make Lin Yi die. This combination was more than enough to kill 2 peak late-phase heaven class masters, let alone Lin Yi, who hadn't reached the peak late-phase heaven class yet. Of course, after they came to West Star Village, they didn't act rashly. Although this was a remote village, and if the Blood Cloak Ancestor made a move here, it wouldn't alarm anyone, but this was the mortal world. So they didn't dare act recklessly. After all, the twin Vajra evils had left a huge psychological shadow in their hearts. Before they did anything, they would always consider whether or not they would violate the rules that the twin Vajra evils had set for them. If they did, what would happen? It would be a disaster. The Vajra twin demons have disappeared for more than 10 years, and this place can no longer be considered the secular world in the true sense. The mountains are high and the emperor is far away, and the Vajra twin demons don't have clairvoyance and hearing. How could they know that we're here? The gloomy ancestor could also see that the Yellow Spring Ancestor and the Blood Cloak Ancestor were a little scared, so he quickly comforted them, although he was also a little scared. Gloomy ancestor, you're right. We're doing things here without anyone noticing. No matter how powerful the Killer Kong duo is, it's impossible for them to come to such a remote place. Besides, they may not still exist in this world. Maybe they've already fallen. The Yellow Spring Ancestor nodded and said in agreement. In fact, he was also cheering for himself. Yellow Springs? That's hard to say. I keep having this uneasy feeling. The Blood Cloak Ancestor frowned and said, I heard that some peerless masters like to live in seclusion. Those 2 might not necessarily have disappeared. Maybe they're hiding somewhere, waiting for someone to violate the rules, and suddenly jump out to kill them. Blood Cloak, I think you've been in seclusion for a long time, so you're guessing others based on your own feelings, right? Even if that kind of master lives in seclusion, it's impossible for him to live in seclusion in such a place. No one knows that we've come here secretly. How could Lin Yi be related to those two? The Yellow Spring ancestor waved his hand and said, I think we'd better not worry too much. It's not that I'm worrying too much, but I think it's better to be careful. The Blood Cloak ancestor nodded. He also felt that he was worrying too much, so he didn't say anything more. Instead, he followed the footsteps and walked in the direction of the West Star village. During the day, they didn't do anything. They just chose to have a meal at Widow Wang's restaurant at the entrance of the village. They claimed that they were old and came here to visit their relatives. No one would think much of this reason, including Widow Wang. After all, although there were few tourists in the West Star village, it didn't mean that there were none. Sometimes, when people from the surrounding villages visited their relatives, they would still come here for a meal. The three of them didn't stay idle either. While they were eating, they also chatted with many people who came to Widow Wang's grocery store in the village and roughly confirmed one thing. That was, there was indeed an old Lin in this village, and he was a traveling doctor. And Lin Yi was also old Lin's godson. He had been raised since he was a child. It was said that he was working in the city and had established his own company. He had also made a fortune. This information made the Yellow Spring ancestor and the other two feel relieved. It seemed that this trip was not in vain. Their goal was here. It wasn't until the sun went down that Ancestor Eerie Woods paid the bill and left Widow Wang's restaurant with Ancestor Yellow Spring and Ancestor Bloodclothed. Although they could totally not pay the bill, they didn't want to cause trouble, so they didn't bully the people in the secular world. According to the information they had just inquired, Old Lin's residence was on the edge of the village, in a small independent courtyard closest to the back mountain. Although they didn't understand why Old Lin would live in such a remote courtyard, it was better this way. It was convenient for them to kill. Otherwise, it wouldn't be fun if the neighbors were alarmed. Therefore, the Yellow Spring ancestor and the other two went all the way west and arrived near Old Lin's house. Is he asleep? Or is he not home? Why is there no light? Ancestor Bloodclothed looked at the house not far away with some doubt. It's normal for country people to sleep early. Let's go and have a look. It's just an old man. He can't run away. It doesn't matter even if we alert him. Ancestor Yellow Spring waved his hand and said indifferently. Ancestor Bloodclothed nodded and walked to Old Lin's house with Ancestor Yellow Spring and Ancestor Eerie Woods. Chapter 3153. However, what surprised him was that in the courtyard, in the middle of the courtyard, there was a man sitting at a table with his back facing the door. He was quietly holding a glass of wine while admiring the moon, and there was a plate of fennel beans on the table. You're here. I've been waiting for you for a long time. Lin Dongfang did not turn around. He raised the glass in his hand, drank it in one gulp, and threw a fennel bean into his mouth. Lin Dongfang's words stunned Patriarch Netherworld, Patriarch Bloodcloak, and Patriarch Eerie Woods. What was going on? Why wasn't Old Lin afraid? 3 people intruded in the middle of the night. Instead of turning around to ask what was going on, he said, I've been waiting for you for a long time. What did he mean? Are you Old Lin? Patriarch Netherworld looked at Lin Dongfang and did not sense any aura of a cultivator, so he was a little puzzled by Lin Dongfang's arrogance. Could it be that this old man had something to rely on? Oh, you can call me that. Of course, you can also call me Senior Lin, Lin Dongfang said lightly. The food at the entrance of the village is delicious, right? You know about it. Patriarch Netherworld looked at Lin Dongfang's back in disbelief. He subconsciously became a little vigilant. Who was this person? How did he know that they were here and eat at the entrance of the village? The village is so small. Of course, I know what's going on. Didn't you ask about me during the day? Lin Dongfang smiled and said. You're here to see me, right? See you. Patriarch Netherworld was slightly stunned and immediately breathed a sigh of relief. It turned out that this old thing thought that the 3 of them were here to see him. No wonder he was so calm, he was almost scared to death. Thinking of this, Patriarch Netherworld was extremely angry. He immediately shouted, "Old thing, we're not here to see you. We're here to take your life. Not here to see me. I think the three of you are sick." Lin Dongfang didn't seem to hear old ancestor Yellow Spring's last threat. Instead, he said to himself, "You're the sick one." Patriarch Eerie Woods pointed at Lin Dongfang and said, "Old man, I might as well let you die knowing. Do you know? Your grandson has stirred up trouble outside, big trouble. He killed several experts from our Bloodcloak Netherworld sect. I'm here for revenge. If you die, that grandson of yours will be heartbroken and continue to come here to die. It seems like you guys are really sick. If you weren't sick, why would you break the rules and come to the secular world to kill people?" Lin Dongfang regretfully shook his head and said, "I think you guys are hopeless. Even a miracle doctor like me can't save him. It seemed that I can only send you to your death." Nonsense. Ancestor Bloodclothed was also very angry, but he just said 3 words. The 4th word came to an abrupt halt, as if a fishbone was stuck in his throat. Because when Ancestor Bloodcloak said this, Lin Dongfang was just about to turn around. Under the moonlight, Patriarch Bloodclothed looked as if he had seen a ghost. He was so scared that he almost fell to the ground and peed his pant. As of this moment, his mind was completely blank. How could he ever have imagined that the person sitting in front of him would be the same person he had met all those years ago? Previously, Ancestor Bloodcloak had a bad premonition, but he was also afraid that this operation would be discovered by the Vajra Fiend duo. However, he never thought that he would encounter the Vajra Fiend duo on this trip. At this moment, the rumors that the Vajra Fiend duo had fallen became a fleeting cloud. Ancestor Bloodcloak trembled all over as he looked at the person in front of him. He was so nervous that he could not speak. Of course, Patriarch Netherworld and Patriarch Sinister Forest were also so scared that they stood rooted to the ground like wooden chickens. "Quick! Run!" Patriarch Netherworld's reaction was faster. When he saw Lin Dongfang's expression, he knew that things were not good. If he stayed here, he was afraid that he would die here tonight. After saying that, Patriarch Netherworld turned around and was about to leave. However, he heard Lin Dongfang's indifferent voice. "Run! Do you think you can run?" Although the words were spoken calmly, it made Patriarch Yellow Spring, who was about to flee, come to an abrupt halt. He stopped awkwardly on the spot. "We're not running." Why would we run? If you're not running, why did you turn around?" Lin Dongfang asked calmly. I was just performing a turn." Patriarch Netherworld was so scared that he did not know what to say. He was a dignified great perfection expert at the peak of the late stage of heaven rank. Now, in front of Lin Dongfang, he was so scared that he did not even dare to speak for fear of saying the wrong thing. On the other hand, Ancestor Bloodcloak and Patriarch Sinister Forest were not much better. The medical patriarch's face had already turned pale, and Patriarch Sinister Forest was even more unbearable. His whole body was trembling as if he had been electrocuted and was dancing disco. "Are you performing a breakdance for me? Turning around and getting electrocuted?" Lin Dongfang looked at the 3 people in front of him and asked calmly. "Yes, that's right, we specially choreographed a dance." Patriarch Sinister Forest was more quick-witted. When he heard Lin Dongfang's question, he took advantage of the situation and went straight to the point. "Back then, we admired the heroic appearance of the Killer Vajra duo. We could not forget them for a long time. After so many years, when we have time, we choreographed a dance for the Killer Vajra duo that we admire the most." Lin Dongfang looked at Patriarch Sinister Forest with a faint smile. He did not expose him. He just nodded and asked calmly, "My Lin Yi, did he offend you?" "No. He did not. How could he have offended us?" Patriarch Sinister Forest said, "So young hero Lin Yi is old Mr. Lin's grandson. I was wondering why young hero Lin was so powerful. At such a young age, he was already a heaven rank expert and could even fight against an opponent of a higher rank. When I thought that he was old Mr. Lin's grandson, it was not surprising. Oh, his master is the other one of the Killer Vajra duo," Lin Dongfang said. "Ah!" Patriarch Sinister Forest immediately broke out in a cold sweat. One of the killer Vajra duo was definitely an existence that could not be offended. Since Lin Yi was that person's disciple and old Mr. Lin's grandson, if he really went to deal with Lin Yi, then the Bloodcloth Underworld sect would probably no longer exist, right? Thinking of this possibility, Patriarch Sinister Forest felt a lingering fear. Haha, indeed, a great teacher produces a great disciple. Like I said, we have always been optimistic about young hero Lin. Don't talk about useless things with me. Tell me what happened exactly. Lin Dongfang waved his hand and interrupted Patriarch Sinister Forest's words. Tell me everything about you and Lin Yi. Chapter 3154. Let me explain. Old Ancestor Yellow Spring smiled bitterly. He knew that today was either a blessing or a curse. Even if it was a curse, he would not be able to avoid it. Hence, he simply listened to whatever Lin Dongfang said. He nodded and said, Old Mr. Lin, in fact, the matter is like this. The grudge between young hero Lin and the Bloodcloth Underworld sect started with a contract to hire assassins. As he spoke, Old Ancestor Yellow Spring told Lin Dongfang about the grudge between the Bloodcloth Underworld sect and Lin Yi. He did not dare to hide anything or add fuel to the fire. He even told Lin Dongfang about their plan and purpose this time. That was because these things could not be hidden from Lin Dongfang. Instead of being stubborn and denying, it was better to tell the truth and fight for leniency. Oh, in other words, if the person sitting here was not me, he would have been killed by you today, right? Lin Dongfang asked after listening. This. Old Ancestor Yellow Spring nodded helplessly. You can say that, haha, well, at least you're honest. Lin Dongfang didn't blame him, nor did he get angry. He just nodded calmly. The world of practitioners is a place where the strong prey on the weak. I understand what you're saying. So, this matter between you and Lin Yi ends here. I don't want you to target Lin Yi in the future. Of course not. How can we target young hero Lin Yi again? Unless we don't want to live anymore. Old Ancestor Bloodcloth spread his hands and said, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. Good. Let's just forget about this matter. Lin Dongfang's words made Old Ancestor Yellow Spring and the other two heave a sigh of relief. However, Lin Dongfang's next words made them nervous again. However, shouldn't you give me an explanation for coming to the secular world to kill people without permission? After listening to Lin Dongfang's words, the three of them could not help but look at each other helplessly. They were wondering how Lin Dongfang could let this matter go so easily. Now, it seemed that this was Lin Dongfang's backup plan. Old Mr. Lin, how do you want to punish us? Bloodcloak Ancestor sighed and said, as long as you don't exterminate our Bloodcloak Underworld sect. What are your conditions? What are your punishments? Just tell me. It was not that Bloodcloak Ancestor was belittling himself, but Lin Dongfang really had the ability to destroy the Bloodcloak Underworld sect. It was just that they did not know that Lin Dongfang needed the spring water. He couldn't leave the West Star Mountain village for too long, so he still thought of Lin Dongfang as the Vajra double demons of the past. In the beginning, Mr. Yang Ming told you that if you step into the secular world, he will destroy your Bloodcloth Underworld sect. You haven't forgotten this sentence, right? Asked Lin Dongfang. No. Patriarch Bloodclothed bit the bullet and replied. All right. Since there isn't, then I hope that you will keep your promise, Lin Dongfang said as he slowly stood up. Patriarch Bloodclad, Patriarch Yellow Spring, and Patriarch Eerie Woods broke out in a cold sweat. Hearing Lin Dongfang's words, he almost fell to the ground. Were they going to be exterminated? Were they really going to be exterminated? They regretted it. They really regretted it. If they hadn't been impulsive and came to deal with Old Man Lin, then, they wouldn't have caused the current situation. Sigh. Why did they have to become enemies with Lin Yi in the first place? It wasn't that the Bloodcloth Underworld sect didn't have any casualties. When they assassinated the masters of other ancient sects, there were also casualties. Of course, whether it was the Bloodcloth Underworld sect's people who died or were assassinated, there wouldn't be any grudges between them. If the Bloodcloth Underworld sect's assassins died, it could only be said that their skills weren't good enough. If you went to kill others and others killed you, then you only have yourself to blame. If other masters were killed by the Bloodcloth Underworld sect, then don't blame the Bloodcloth Underworld sect. After all, the other party was paid to do it, and he was just an executor, not the mastermind behind the scenes. If you want revenge, go find the mastermind. Now, the Bloodcloth Underworld sect wanted to kill Lin Yi because they thought that Lin Yi was a loose cultivator, a soft persimmon that they could take revenge on at will. But who would have thought that not only was Lin Yi not a soft persimmon, but he also had a strong background? Thinking of this, the three of them had the urge to cry. With such a strong background, who would dare to touch you if you announced it to the outside world? Even in the entire ancient sect, you are an existence that can do whatever you want, right? But you insisted on hiding it. Now, our Bloodcloth Underworld sect has kicked an iron plate. It's simply a trap. That. Old Mr. Lin, I heard that young hero Lin likes to take in underlings and is currently recruiting some underlings in the ancient era. What do you think about our blood-clothed Yellow Spring sect joining young hero Lin? Patriarch Eerie Woods suddenly had an idea and thought of a good way to protect the blood-clothed Yellow Spring sect. According to the investigation of the Bloodcloth Underworld sect's intelligence team, some of the underlings around Lin Yi were his former enemies. However, Lin Yi was a very tolerant person. If these enemies didn't make any big mistakes and they sincerely joined him, then Lin Yi could still accept them. Therefore, Ancestor Yinsen made this request. His purpose was to hope that Lin Dongfang would let them go. In this way, they would be Lin Yi's underlings. They were all on the same side. How could he let his own people kill his own people? Recruiting underlings. Your current level is too high. He can't recruit you yet. Lin Dongfang's words made the hearts of the Bloodcloth ancestor and the other two cold at the same time. However, Lin Dongfang's next sentence did make them feel relieved. However, seeing that your Bloodcloth Underworld sect still has some use, I can reluctantly accept you on behalf of Little Yi. The three of them were overjoyed after hearing this. They looked at each other and cupped their fists at Lin Dongfang at the same time. Bloodcloth Underworld sect, Bloodcloth, Underworld, and Yinsen, greet old master. I hope you are sincere. Otherwise, I will personally destroy you. Lin Dongfang said lightly. Of course, he was just scaring these people in front of him. He couldn't really leave the West Star Mountain village. We are definitely sincere. The Bloodcloth ancestor and the other two were shocked and quickly responded. In fact, they were indeed sincere. After all, Lin Dongfang's prestige back then had been deeply rooted in their bones. They didn't dare to have any rebellious thoughts. Back then, the Vaja Dual Fiends could easily destroy a great perfection expert at the peak of the late stage of Heaven stage. Now, after so many years, Lin Dongfang's strength had reached a terrifying level. Therefore, the Bloodcloth ancestor and the others didn't dare to lie at all. That's good. Lin Dongfang nodded. Leave your contact information and then go back. Chapter 3155. Yes. Ancestor Eerie Forest quickly gave a contact card to Lin Dongfang and said respectfully, Old Master, this is my contact method. As long as you can contact me, you can find Ancestor Bloodshirt and Ancestor Netherworld. Lin Dongfang took the contact card, glanced at it, and then put it on the table. He said, Okay, you can go. Okay, but, Old Master, if I may ask, you are so powerful, and Master Lin Yi is your grandson, the disciple of Mr. Yang. But why didn't he say it out? As long as a little news is leaked, who in the cultivation world won't give face? Ancestor Netherworld asked with some confusion. As far as I know, Master has a lot of enemies. Although every time there was a scare without danger, this is a bit too. Haha, Yomi, do you want to ask me why I let Lil Yi be outside and not interfere? Lin Dongfang knew that the blood-clothed underworld sect would have this question sooner or later. If he didn't solve this question well, they wouldn't think much at the time, but they would definitely have doubts later. If they guessed the truth or something similar, it wouldn't be what Lin Dongfang wanted to see. Therefore, Lin Dongfang had already thought of an excuse. Yes, old master, master is outside. Let's not talk about the threat from our Bloodshirt underworld sect. Even the ancient Dongfang family and the everyday sect are enough for master to deal with. Why didn't you intervene? Netherworld nodded and asked in confusion. Do you think that if I intervene in everything, Little Yi's growth can still be so fast? What Lin Dongfang said was a mixture of truth and lies. 30% true and 70% false. After all, he had discussed with Yang Ming, Mr. Yang, and Mo Kong before that Lin Yi wanted to grow. He couldn't have too many external forces to rely on. In the beginning, Mo Kong also did a divination for Lin Yi. Only if Lin Yi was allowed to develop on his own, would he get more opportunities. It was just that this way. Lin Yi would encounter many unpredictable dangers, but in the end, it would be more daunting than dangerous. Man-made external factors could only appear 3 times a year. This way, it would not interfere with Lin Yi's normal life trajectory. Once it happened more than 3 times, Lin Yi's life trajectory might deviate. This was also the reason why Mo Kong had set the rule that he could only take action 3 times a year. Of course, this helps. It was only limited to those of the older generation. Gaodan and the other underlings of Lin Yi. They were Lin Yi's own circle of friends and forces, which were cultivated by Lin Yi himself. It had nothing to do with external forces. Only by allowing Lin Yi to develop freely would he be able to obtain even more unexpected opportunities. As for these opportunities, they were the most important conditions to break the trap from back then. As for letting Lin Yi undergo even more cruel tests, it was only a minor detail. The most important reason was for the group of people who left back then. Now it seemed that Lin Yi's development was just as Mo Kong had calculated. Almost all the inheritors had become Lin Yi's people. These people would be a powerful help for Lin Yi to break the trap. Without the help of these people, Lin Yi would never be able to reach that level of cultivation and network. However, these things couldn't be told to the people of the Blood Cloak Underworld sect, so Lin Dongfang avoided the question and threw a rhetorical question. This shouldn't be. After a slight pause, old ancestor Netherworld figured out the key to this. How could a flower growing in a greenhouse reach its current height? If everything was settled by the people behind the scenes, Lin Yi would probably have no pressure now. How would he have the motivation to level up? How could he step into the heaven stage from the yellow stage in less than a year? Thinking of this, old ancestor Netherworld couldn't help but admire Lin Dongfang and Yang Ming's courage. How much courage did it take to throw a junior into the secular world and let him develop freely? No wonder the master can grow so fast. Blood Cloak Ancestor also nodded in agreement. Of course, if there is a situation that we can't solve, we will take action. Lin Dongfang's next sentence made Blood Cloak Ancestor and the other 2 break out in a cold sweat. A situation that really can't be solved? Does that mean that the 3 of us will kill Lin Yi? Thinking of this, the 3 of them were really shocked and scared. If they really went to deal with Lin Yi, then the 3 of them would probably be corpses now, right? Lin Dongfang was still better. The one surnamed Yang was a madman. If he took action, he probably wouldn't even have the chance to plead for mercy and become an underling. He would probably die directly. Haha, in the future, with us 3 underlings here, the old master doesn't have to take action personally. In this cultivation world, there are few things that the 3 of us can't solve together. Blood Cloak Ancestor quickly patted his chest and promised. Yeah, the old master can live in seclusion here with peace of mind. The 3 of us are still enough to run errands. Old ancestor Netherworld also nodded quickly. After I go back, I will completely reorganize the intelligence department and pay attention to the news of the young master. Elder Ghastly Forest also said quickly. Lin Dongfang pondered for a long time. He finally nodded at the proposal of the 3 and said, okay, but don't interfere with little Yi's growth too much. You can pay attention, but don't take action. Unless there is a danger that you have to take action as a last resort. However, you must inform me immediately after the matter. Of course, it was possible to inform in advance, but it would delay things. Sometimes the danger was fleeting. If you delayed some time to inform, the danger might have already happened. Therefore, Lin Dongfang gave the 3 the authority to act first and report later. Of course, Lin Dongfang didn't reject the proposal of the 3. As Lin Yi stepped into a higher level, having these 3 people to help him keep an eye on him would make Lin Dongfang less worried. After all, although he had a lot of channels, one more person was always one more strength. Thank you for your trust, old master. The three of them didn't feel that there was anything wrong with being able to help Lin Dongfang. Back then, Ancestor Mad Leopard of the Everyday and Everyday sect was proud to be Lin Dongfang's underling. He swaggered around everywhere he went. In fact, they were very envious of him. Chapter 3156. However, they were still very happy that Lin Dongfang gave them the right to act first and report later. At the very least, it showed that Lin Dongfang treated them as his own people instead of trying to deceive them. Of course, from their point of view, there was no need for Lin Dongfang to feign civility with them. If Lin Dongfang wanted to kill them, it would be a piece of cake for him to do so. It was already an honor for him to entrust them with this task. Lin Dongfang glanced at the ancestor of Netherworld and warned, "I hope you will keep my presence a secret. Before little Yi grows up, I don't want news of me to spread. He doesn't know what happened to me in the past." Patriarch Yellow Spring nodded and asked carefully, "Don't worry, old master. We won't say anything. We won't do anything unless it's absolutely necessary. On the surface, will we still maintain our relationship with Little Master? There's no need for that. Find a reason to resolve the grudge between you two first so that he won't worry." Old Man Lin also hoped to reduce the pressure on Lin Yi a little. After all, Lin Yi was under too much pressure now. Old Man Lin was afraid that Lin Yi wouldn't be able to hold on. If it was someone with poor mental fortitude, they would have gone crazy. "Okay, we know what to do," the ancestor of Netherworld quickly responded. "All right, you guys go. If there's anything, you can contact me." Old Man Lin gave his phone number to the ancestor of Netherworld. "I don't have a business card. You can write it down. I've memorized it." The ancestor of Gloomy Woods had already taken out his notebook and wrote down Lin Dongfang's phone number. He was a little excited. This was a heavenly pathmaster. In the future, the Bloodcloak Netherworld sect wouldn't be a sect without a backer. Their backer would be a heavenly pathmaster. This was an existence even more powerful than the Five Elements sect. If Lin Dongfang and Yang Ming were to go together, the Five Elements sect and the Everyday and Everyday sect would be finished. Old Ancestor Yellow Spring, Ancestor Bloodcloak, and Ancestor Eerie Forest left without a sound. Old Man Lin couldn't help but smile bitterly as he watched them leave. Today's matter could be considered both good and bad. He could not stay away from Weststar Mountain Village for a long time. This was a fatal weakness. Fortunately, only the Bloodcloak Underworld sect knew that he was here. Otherwise, the more sects that knew, the more likely Lin Dongfang's matter would be exposed. Being exposed. This wasn't a good thing. If everyone speculated that Lin Yi couldn't leave the Weststar Mountain Village, then those sects that had suffered losses in the past would vent their anger on Lin Yi. Unless Lin Yi also returned to the Weststar Mountain Village to avoid trouble, he would probably have enemies all over the world. Therefore, Lin Dongfang had also considered this aspect. That was why he strictly ordered the blood-clothed Yellow Spring sect to keep it a secret. Old Ancestor Netherworld, Old Ancestor Shui Yi, and Old Ancestor Eerie Forest left the Weststar Mountain Village. The three of them sat on the grass by the roadside and breathed a sigh of relief. At this time, the sky gradually brightened. The three of them panted heavily with lingering fear in their hearts. "Old Ancestor Shui Yi, it seems that your premonition and guess were right. Who would have thought that the old master would come here to live in seclusion?" Old Ancestor Netherworld smiled bitterly and said while wiping the cold sweat on his forehead. "Sigh. I said it casually at that time. What's more surprising is that Lin Yi is the old master's grandson and Mr. Yang's disciple. Aren't we courting death by trying to kill Lin Yi?" Old Ancestor Shui Yi sighed and said helplessly. "By the way, how can we resolve the grudge with Master Lin Yi?" Eerie Forest Ancestor suddenly thought of an important point. Lin Dongfang wanted them to find an excuse to resolve the grudge, but how could they resolve it? "Why don't we go to East Ocean City and talk to Master Lin Yi?" Old Ancestor Netherworld suggested. "How should we say it? Will Master Lin Yi suspect our purpose?" Old Ancestor Shui Yi frowned and said. "Patriarchs, I have a good idea." Eerie Forest Ancestor rolled his eyes and said, "We can tell Lin Yi that the person who hired us back then was Zhao Qibing. Everything was caused by Zhao Qibing. We want to take revenge on Zhao Qibing, But Zhao Qibing is a disciple of the Dark Palace now, so it's not appropriate for us to do so. If we can ask Master Lin Yi to talk to Palace Master Chu Mengyaro of the Dark Palace and ask her to teach Zhao Qibing a lesson, that would be great.
Oh,
that's a good idea, but can Master Lin Yi help us? Old Ancestor Netherworld Ancestor nodded and asked. I think it's 80%. After all, we can promise him something. For example, if he needs Old Ancestor Shui Yi's help, we can help him. Eerie Forest Ancestor said, this way, not only will we have a reason to help Master Lin Yi, but he won't be suspicious. Eerie Forest, I realized that you're quite smart. Old Ancestor Netherworld Ancestor heard and immediately felt that Eerie Forest Ancestor's idea was very good. He nodded and said, very good, this way, we also have a reason to help Lin Yi. Eerie Forest Ancestor breathed a sigh of relief. You flatter me, Old Ancestor Netherworld Ancestor. This can be considered as me making up for my mistake. No, not only did you not make a mistake, but you also made a great contribution. If it wasn't for the fact that we were too slow in our investigation and delayed our attack on Master Lin Yi, once we really went to kill Lin Yi, whether the old master arrived or not, or whether Master Lin Yi was dead or not, we would die for sure. Old Ancestor Netherworld Ancestor waved his hand and said, this is a great contribution. That's right, Eerie Forest. You've saved us this time. From now on, you're no longer a servant. You're the third brother of Shui Yi, and you've officially become a high-level member of Shui Yi's Yellow Spring Sect. Old Ancestor Shui Yi nodded and said, thank you for your guidance, Old Ancestor. In my heart, you two will always be my masters. Old Ancestor Shui Yi said gratefully. No, our current master is Lin Yi. Don't make a mistake and let the old master misunderstand. It won't be good. Old Ancestor Netherworld Ancestor said, from now on, we'll all be master's subordinates, so it's the same. Yes. Eerie Forest Ancestor quickly replied. After the three of them agreed, they set off for East Ocean City. Of course, they were afraid that a long delay would cause trouble. After all, Lin Dongfang's position in their hearts was like a death sentence. Chapter 3157. They were afraid that they could not get Lin Yi's forgiveness. Then, they would be in an awkward situation. At that time, it was hard to say whether Lin Dongfang would still recognize them as his little brothers. Therefore, they rang the doorbell of Lin Yi's villa with an extremely perturbed mood. With guests coming to the door, Lin Yi stopped circulating the art of dragon mastery, got up, left the room, and walked to the door of the villa's courtyard. However, when Lin Yi walked to the door and saw the three people outside the villa, his eyes suddenly froze. In his heart, there were raging waves. Among the three people outside the door, there were two experts with great perfection strength at the peak of the late stage of Heaven stage, and one expert with great perfection strength at the peak of the late stage of Heaven stage. What kind of combination was this? In the ancient times, they were existences that could run amok. How could they appear at the door of his house? What was the purpose of these people? Excuse me, who are you looking for? Lin Yi asked calmly. Since these three people did not barge in but politely rang the doorbell, although Lin Yi was secretly on guard, he still asked very politely on the surface. Excuse me, is this the residence of Lin Yi, young hero Lin? Blood Robe Ancestor asked carefully. This question made Lin Yi's eyelids twitch involuntarily. Young hero Lin? These were experts with great perfection strength at the peak of the late stage of Heaven stage, and they called him young hero Lin? Was there something wrong with them? At this moment, Lin Yi was really stunned. Where did these three come from? Seeing Lin Yi's stunned expression, Ancestor Yellow Spring could not help but glare at Bloodrobe Ancestor. He naturally understood that Bloodrobe Ancestor was too infuriating, which made Lin Yi suspicious. He coughed, pointed at Lin Yi, and asked sternly, "Boy, you are Lin Yi, right?" "That's me." This time, Lin Yi was even more puzzled. What were these three people doing here? Why was one so polite, and the other so arrogant? Old Ancestor Yellow Spring finished speaking. Glancing at Ancestor Eerie Woods, Ancestor Eerie Woods naturally knew that he, the mediator, had appeared. He coughed twice and said to Lin Yi, right? These two are the ancestors of our blood-clothed underworld sect. One has a good temper, and the other has a bad temper, blood-clothed netherworld sect? Lin Yi asked. His expression immediately changed as he looked at the three people in front of him in astonishment. As for having a good temper and having a bad temper, he had experienced it before. These three were his greatest enemies. They should have started fighting the moment they arrived. Why were they standing here and talking so much with him? Could it be that the temperament of experts was a little strange? Not bad. Old Ancestor Eerie Woods nodded and said, "We, the blood-clothed underworld sect, may have had some misunderstandings with Mr. Lin Yi. We are here today to resolve this misunderstanding." Resolve the misunderstanding? Lin Yi couldn't figure it out. What were these three people trying to do? If it wasn't for Lin Yi's golden finger that could see the strength of these three people, he would have thought that these three people were big liars. However, which peak late-stage heaven-stage great perfection expert would have the time to pretend to be a liar? And there were two of them at the same time? Even the remaining peak late-stage heaven-stage expert wouldn't be in the mood to pretend to be a liar, right? Not bad. Mr. Lin Yi, aren't you going to invite us in? Ancestor Eerie Wood's tone was neither good nor bad. He just said indifferently, "All right, please come in." Lin Yi took a deep breath. If it was a blessing, it wouldn't be a curse. If it was a curse, it couldn't be avoided. With the strength of these three people, Lin Yi couldn't run away even if he wanted to. He wasn't their match even if he wanted to resist, so Lin Yi simply wanted to see what they were going to do. Now it seemed that although these three people's attitude wasn't very good, they didn't do anything excessive, so Lin Yi also calmed down. Seeing that Lin Yi was still so calm after knowing their identity, Ancestor Yellow Spring couldn't help but admire him. As expected of the descendant of the killer Vajra duo, his mentality was so strong. How would he know that Lin Yi had the attitude that it was a blessing, not a curse? Ancestor Yellow Spring, Ancestor Bloodcloak, and Ancestor Eerie Woods walked into Lin Yi's villa. At this time, Yu Shu hadn't returned from school yet. Shu Shahan and Cheng Yi were practicing singing upstairs and rarely went downstairs during the day. So, only Lin Yi and Bloodcloak were left in the living room. "Mr. Lin Yi, before, there was some misunderstanding between us. You killed a few of our people, right?" Ancestor Eerie Wood sat down and asked. Both Ancestor Yellow Spring and Ancestor Bloodcloak weren't very good at pretending, and Ancestor Eerie Woods had some ability, so among the three of them, he spoke on behalf of the others. "Yes, but it was your people who wanted to kill me first, so I was forced to fight back." Lin Yi couldn't figure out the purpose of these three people here, so he didn't hide it and told the truth. After all, these things could be investigated even if he didn't say it, so it was better to tell the truth. "Oh, we know. We have no hatred with Mr. Lin Yi. The reason why we assassinated Mr. Lin Yi was because we received a mission, so we came to assassinate Mr. Lin Yi." Ancestor Eerie Woods said, "As the saying goes, we take people's money to eliminate disasters. This is our original purpose." "I understand, and I don't blame you." Lin Yi nodded. He had also trained in the Secular World's assassin group, so he naturally understood the rules of the assassin world. In this matter, there was no right or wrong, so he naturally couldn't blame the assassins. Every injustice has its perpetrator, and every debt has its debtor. Whoever wants to kill me, I will settle the score with them. "That's right." Ancestor Eerie Woods slapped his thigh and said, "Mr. Lin Yi is really a smart person. It's so easy to talk to Mr. Lin Yi. Mr. Lin Yi understood us at once. You came here just to say this?" Lin Yi looked at Ancestor Eerie Woods strangely. "Of course not. We have already sent out Heaven Stage experts, but they are no match for Mr. Lin Yi, so we have decided to give up this plan." Ancestor Eerie Woods said, "Although we were wrong in the first place to assassinate Mr. Lin Yi also killed many of our people. How about we just let this matter go? Just let it go." Lin Yi couldn't believe his ears. There was such a good thing. The assassin group couldn't kill people, and they still wanted to make peace. Moreover, he didn't have the confidence to escape from any of these three. How could they just let it go? "Yes, I don't know what Mr. Lin Yi thinks." Ancestor Eerie Woods nodded and asked. Of course I don't have any opinion, but are you really sincere?" Lin Yi felt that this matter was a little strange no matter how he looked at it. Chapter 3158. Of course. In fact, we can see that Mr. Lin Yi has great potential, so we don't want to be enemies with Mr. Lin Yi. Eerie Wood's ancestor nodded. Of course, you might have guessed that since we are the ancestors of the blood-clothed underworld sect, then we should be at least at the peak late-stage heaven rank, right? That's right. Lin Yi nodded. This was what puzzled him the most. It should be easy for these three to kill him, so why did they talk so much? In fact, the ancestors of the blood-clothed underworld sect won't easily take action. This is the rule. The employer gives us a limited amount of money, and we can only send a mid-stage heaven rank expert at most. We can't trouble the ancestors with this amount of money. Although killing you might be as easy as lifting a finger, we won't do it. Because every profession has its rules, and we can't break them. Ancestor Eerie Woods explained, on the contrary, our employer gave us false information, causing our blood-clothed Yellow Spring Gate to suffer heavy losses. We want to take revenge on our employer. We seriously suspect that our employer is trying to trick us on purpose. Many of these rules were made up by Eerie Wood's ancestor to gain Lin Yi's trust. Of course, what he said was reasonable, so Lin Yi really believed them. Otherwise, Lin Yi really couldn't figure out why these three were here. Who is your employer? Who hired you to kill me? This was the question that Lin Yi wanted to know the most. This employer is an old acquaintance of yours. Eerie Wood's ancestor said. Actually, we think that you are a young expert with unlimited potential, so we want to make friends with you. That's not important. Our blood-clothed underworld sect also has young talents. This time, we personally came here to ask for your help. Teach this employer a lesson, or else we won't be able to swallow this anger. Why? This employer has a great background. Even you guys don't dare to deal with him? Lin Yi was stunned. That's not it. Eerie Wood's ancestor waved his hand. We are an assassin organization after all. It's not good for our reputation to deal with the employer. Moreover, we only suspect that the employer is cheating us. We don't have any evidence, so it's not good for us to act. Besides, he's currently a disciple of an ancient sect. It's not good for us to attack an ancient sect's disciple. Phut, a disciple of an ancient sect. Lin Yi immediately didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Do you think that the ancient sect that you all fear? Do you think I have a way to deal with it? Of course there is. That's why we're here. Otherwise, do you think you have enough face to make the two of us patriarchs act like this? Together with me, the housekeeper, to look for you. Ancestor Eerie Woods asked. Oh, who is your employer? Lin Yi couldn't help but have some doubts. Zhao Qibing. Yin Sen said, he's currently a disciple of the Dark Palace. If we were to deal with a disciple of the Dark Palace, it would cause a conflict between the ancient sects. Mr. Lin Yi doesn't have to worry about that. As far as I know, the current master of the Dark Palace, Meng Yaro, is Mr. Lin Yi's woman, right? Lin Yi was just about to say that Meng Yaro wasn't his woman, just a good friend, but suddenly remembered Yaoiro's confession before she left. She should be his woman now, so Lin Yi nodded. So it's Zhao Qibing. The question that had been bothering Lin Yi for a long time was finally solved. He was wondering how he managed to provoke the Bloodcloak underworld sect. It turned out that they weren't looking for trouble on purpose, but were asked to do so by someone else. With this, Lin Yi's hatred towards the Bloodcloak underworld sect faded away. The assassin organization worked for money, and the culprit was Zhao Qibing. What's in it for me to do this? Lin Yi thought about it and asked back. Although he knew that he was asking a tiger for its skin, since Elder Sinister Forest had explained so much before, it all boiled down to one thing. They wouldn't touch Lin Yi now. That was why Lin Yi had the guts to ask. Punish him and avenge our blood-clad Yellow Spring sect. Consider it as giving us face. Our blood-clad Yellow Spring sect owes you a favor, and we will definitely return it. Owe me a favor? Lin Yi thought about it. This was a business that could only be profitable. Meng Yaro would definitely punish Zhao Qibing without saying anything, so it meant that the Bloodcloak underworld sect owed him a favor. This was a good thing, and so, Lin Yi nodded. Alright, if that's the case, it's a deal. Straightforward. The Yellow Spring ancestor nodded as well. I like straightforward people the most. Alright, This matter is settled. The three of us won't disturb you any longer. We'll be leaving now. Leaving just like that? Lin Yi was taken aback. He didn't expect the three of them to really come here for this matter. They were leaving right after. That's right. The purpose of our trip is to ask Mr. Lin Yi to help us punish Zhao Qibing. We've been established for so long, and we've never been played like this by our employer. It's a scam, the Yin Sen ancestor said angrily. All right, I'll tell Meng Yao. Lin Yi nodded. Take care. All right, you don't have to send us off. We'll be leaving now. The Yin Sen ancestor said and followed the Yellow Spring ancestor and Bloodcloak ancestor out of Lin Yi's villa. They really didn't stop and left immediately. Looking at their backs, Lin Yi frowned. What happened today was really a little strange. The Yin Sen ancestors' words seemed very reasonable, but Lin Yi felt that with their status, there was no need for them to do this to him. Why did they come to visit him personally? Was it really because of Zhao Qibing? Thinking about it, if they wanted to deal with Zhao Qibing, they could just tell the Palace of Darkness and owe them a favor. There was no need for them to come here and waste their time, right? However, if it was because the current master of the Palace of Darkness was Meng Yao, and they tried to assassinate him before, so they were afraid that Meng Yao wouldn't give them face. This was also possible, so they came to him to be the middleman. This was the only possibility that Lin Yi could think of. However, since the three of them weren't hostile, Lin Yi was relieved. From the beginning to the end, Lin Yi's jade didn't give any warning. This proved that these three really didn't want to kill him. Perhaps, they really didn't want to deal with him. Chapter 3159. After leaving Lin Yi's villa, the Netherworld ancestor, the Blood-Clothed ancestor, and the Yinsen ancestor did not rush to leave Donghai City and return to the Blood-Clothed Underworld sect. Instead, they planned to stay here for a while and have a comprehensive understanding of Lin Yi. In other words, they had now become Lin Yi's underlings. How could they not know their master? At the very least, they had to know who Lin Yi's current enemies were, and who were the friendly sects and other underlings. For those enemies, the blood-clothed underworld sect would be suppressed to death if there was a chance. For the friendly sects and underlings, they must be clear, lest the flood rushed against the Dragon King Temple, and the family did not recognize the family, so they decided to stay and investigate more. Yinsen, you let the people of the intelligence team quickly enter Donghai City and start investigating the master's affairs. We must know ourselves and the enemy, so as to help the master and live up to the old master's trust, said the Netherworld ancestor. Okay, I know, I will call now. The Yinsen ancestor nodded and went to call the people of the intelligence team to come over. Dongfang family, Dongfang Jinxing, today, received an important piece of good news, that is, the Pure Yin Heavenly Master of the Everyday and Everyday sect came out, and the Pure Yang Heavenly Master had already given a reply that he could deal with Lin Yi together with Dongfang family's Dongfang Yinxing. Therefore, Dongfang Jinxing rushed to the door of Dongfang Bidao's room, knocked on the door, and said, "Father, second brother, there is great news. Jinxing, come in." Dongfang Bidao said, "What's so exciting?" "Father, the Pure Yin Heavenly Master of the Everyday and Everyday sect has come out. Just now, their Pure Yang Heavenly Master has contacted me and can join us to kill Lin Yi." Dongfang Jinxing said excitedly, "This time, Lin Yi will die." "Oh, the Everyday and Everyday sect can make a move." Dongfang Bidao pondered for a moment and said, "Let's cooperate with them this time. When I and Yinxing become masters of the Great Perfection one day, we can make the Everyday and Everyday sect pay some price. Father, you agree for me to help?" Dongfang Yinxing was also very excited. He had been prepared to kill Lin Yi before, but because he was afraid of Lin Yi's ability to jump ranks and kill enemies, he didn't dare to go alone. This time, he had the Pure Yin Heavenly Venerable, two-peak late-stage heaven-rank powerhouses. Even if Lin Yi had 3 heads and 6 arms, he wouldn't be able to kill Lin Yi. This time, he was dead for sure. Yes, with Pure Yin Heavenly Venerate accompanying you, I can naturally rest assured that you can go. Otherwise, that brat Lin Yi is really too strange. He can jump realms and instantly kill experts much stronger than him. This really makes one have no choice but to be on guard. Dongfang Bidao said, "If it weren't for the Everyday and Everyday sect, I would definitely let you put down this hatred for the time being. After all, we have lost a lot of our backbone. If something happens to you, our Dongfang family will really decline. At that time, even more ancient aristocratic families and sects will surpass us. The losses outweigh the gains. Is that brat Lin Yi so powerful? Dongfang Yinxing frowned, apparently disapproving. Don't underestimate the enemy. Dongfang Badao waved his hand and said, that Lin Yi. He can live until now and hasn't been killed by the enemy. He still has his own uniqueness. We must not underestimate the enemy too much, so as not to overturn the boat in the gutter. Yes. Dongfang Yinxing quickly responded. But in his heart, he still underestimated the enemy a little. He felt that Lin Yi was just a small early-stage heaven rank master, and it was impossible to be as powerful as him. Remember, if Lin Yi is really strong and things can't be done, then put down the hatred and quickly escape back. Don't show off. Dongfang Badao exhorted. I know, father. I will be careful. Although Dongfang Jinxing said so, his words were full of perfunctory, which made Dongfang Badao frown slightly. His son was not as steady as Dongfang Jinxing. Although his strength was there, he was still very impulsive in doing things. Dongfang Jinxing was very obedient, which was why Dongfang Badao was relieved to let him manage the Dongfang family. However, thinking about it, Lin Yi was just an early-stage heaven rank master. Even if he was powerful and could fight against the enemy, it was impossible to be the opponent of the peak late-stage heaven rank master, right? If that was the case, Lin Yi would have been able to do whatever he wanted in the ancient level. Moreover, when he was in the Cultivator Trading Association, Lin Yi should have killed Dongfang hard instead of letting him escape. It seemed that Lin Yi's strength was still limited. This made Dongfang Badao's originally nervous mood slightly relaxed. When do we act? Dongfang Badao asked. The Everyday and Everyday sect is waiting for our reply. As long as we nod, they will immediately send someone to meet us, Dongfang Jinxing said. Well, you tell him that now our Dongfang family is also ready. Let Dongfang Yinxing go to meet with Pure Yin Tianzuan, and then go together to kill Lin Yi. When Dongfang Badao said this, he turned to look at Dongfang Yinxing. Yinxing, you remember, you must act with Pure Yin Tianzuan, don't be stupid enough to rush to the front as a test. I understand this. Dongfang Yinxing's words were heard. He was not stupid. Since it was an alliance between the two families, he naturally wanted Pure Yin Tianzuan to rush to the front. It was best to fight with Lin Yi until both sides suffered, and then kill Lin Yi himself. This was also an indirect way to let the Everyday and Everyday sect suffer a little and avenge Dongfang Buliu. Dongfang Jinxing came out of Dongfang Badao's room and went to call Pure Yang Tianzuan. After Pure Yang Tianzuan received the phone call, he told the news to Zhong Pingliang, Master, the Dongfang family has agreed to join forces with us to kill Lin Yi. We still have to kill Lin Yi. Pinliang sighed softly. Actually, after merging with Mad Dragon's memories, killing Lin Yi would be a piece of cake. I'd just send a couple of masters, and they'd be able to take him out. But the reason why I didn't do this is also because I want to give Power motivation to improve his cultivation. But now, if Lin Yi is not eliminated, he can't get rid of the demon in his heart. We can only kill Lin Yi first. Master, since you agree, then I will let Pure Yin junior brother go to meet with Dongfang Yinxing. Pure Yang Tianzuan nodded and asked. Yes, but before he leaves, you ask him to come over. I have something to tell him, Zhong Pingliang said. Okay, Master, I will go find him. Pure Yang Tianzuan nodded and went to find Pure Yin Tianzuan. Chapter 3160. He had already tried many times, but he still failed. After all, reaching the peak of the heaven stage was a very difficult hurdle. After crossing it, there was hope of advancing to the heavenly Tao. It was not something that could be comprehended just because one wanted to. Senior brother, how is it? Do you want me to come out of the mountain and kill that kid? Every time Pure Yin came out of seclusion, he would stretch his body. After all, he had been cooped up in the house for a long time. He definitely wanted to get some fresh air. At this time, there was a mission to kill, so he was very enthusiastic. Lord Master, who is also your great master uncle, has agreed. But before you go, Lord Master has something to tell you. Come with me. Pure Yang nodded and said, Okay. Pure Yin hurriedly followed Pure Yang to Zhong Pingliang's residence. After coming out of seclusion, he already knew that Zhong Pingliang was the resurrected patriarch Mad Dragon. Naturally, he was very respectful to him. The two came to Zhong Pingliang's residence and knocked on the door. Lord Master, disciple Pure Yang has brought junior brother Pure Yin here. Okay, come in. Zhong Pingliang said faintly. During this time, Zhong Pingliang had learned how to act cool. Although his character was still like Zhong Pingliang's playboy, he had to act like a superior in the sect. Otherwise, others would find it weird. Disciple Pure Yin greets Great Master Uncle. Pure Yin hurriedly said after entering the door. Pure Yin, no need to be so polite. Zhong Pingliang waved his hand and said, This time, you are going to kill Lin Yi. I have something to remind you of. Great Master Uncle, please speak. Pure Yin nodded and looked like he was all ears. It's like this, Lin Yi. I know very well that this kid is the best at hiding his strength. Therefore, the strength he revealed now might not be his true strength. This might not be his full strength, he has a lot of cards up his sleeves, you have to be careful. Zhong Pingliang warned. Uncle Master, I will remember this. Pure Yin Empyrean's expression turned solemn. He quickly nodded his head. He believed Pinliang's words without a doubt. After all, Pinliang and Lin Yi used to be classmates and archenemies. Now that he had become the Mad Dragon Patriarch, if he still valued Lin Yi so much, then the Pure Yin Empyrean would have to value him even more. All right, as long as you remember. Pinliang nodded in satisfaction. You and Dongfang Yinxing from House Dongfang will fight together. Don't be greedy. He wanted to kill with one strike. Don't give Lin Yi any chance to breathe. After completing the mission, don't stay any longer and rush back immediately. Do you hear me? Yes. Eldest Martial Uncle, I understand. Heavenly Venerable Pure Yin replied. All right. Go ahead. Pinliang said. The rendezvous between Heavenly Venerable Pure Yin and Dongfang Yinxing was at the Shueshong Business Hotel in Donghai City. Dongfang Yinxing couldn't find any other place and had never been there before. This was where Dongfang Buruo used to live, so Dongfang Yinxing chose this place. First, it was because they were familiar with the place, and second, it was closer to Lin Yi's villa, so they could go there at any time. As for Pure Yin Empyrean, he had never been to Donghai City before. He lived wherever Dongfang Yinxing lived. The two arrived in the evening, but coincidentally, their car arrived at the same time as the Bloodcloak Underworld sect's intelligence team. Bloodcloak Ancestor, Netherworld Ancestor, and Sinister Ancestor were also staying at the Shueshong Business Hotel. This hotel was the closest to Lin Yi's villa, so it was convenient for them to investigate Lin Yi. Heavenly Venerable Pure Yin and Dongfang Yinxing naturally didn't know these members of the Bloodcloak Underworld sect's intelligence team. After all, these people were responsible for intelligence work and wouldn't show their faces or let others know their identities. However, it didn't mean that they didn't know Heavenly Venerable Pure Yin and Dongfang Yinxing. The Bloodcloak Underworld sect's intelligence team recorded all the famous figures in the ancient times, and their faces were silently engraved in the hearts of the intelligence team members. Therefore, when the two of them appeared at the entrance of the hotel, the person in charge of the Bloodcloak Underworld sect's intelligence team, Feng Shengniao, noticed them. After waiting for Heavenly Venerable Pure Yin and Dongfang Yinxing to book their rooms, Feng Shengniao wrote down their room numbers and entered the elevator together. The rooms of Feng Shengniao and the others had been booked by Sinister Ancestor the day before. The reason why he waited with Heavenly Venerable Pure Yin and Dongfang Yinxing was to listen to their conversation. After entering the elevator, Heavenly Venerable Pure Yin and Dongfang Yinxing didn't hide anything. After all, they didn't think that there was anyone in the mortal world who could shake them, and outsiders wouldn't be able to understand what they were talking about. Does Lin Yi live nearby? Heavenly Venerable Pure Yin asked. Yes, in a villa not far from here, Dongfang Yinxing said. Should we rest for a while before heading over, or should we go tonight? Let's go tonight. Heavenly Venerable Pure Yin thought about it and said, the earlier we go, the faster we can get things done. We'll leave after that. All right. Dongfang Yinxing nodded. The conversation between these two sounded like they were going to visit a friend. If it wasn't for Feng Shengniao, anyone else wouldn't have paid any attention to it. However, Feng Shengniao's heart trembled. Did these two peak late-stage heaven powerhouses come here to deal with Lin Yi? After all, the intelligence team had already received news that the Dongfang family and the everyday sect had enmity. Feng Shengniao didn't think that it was a good thing for these two to come looking for Lin Yi at the same time. Moreover, from what they said, they were going to leave quickly after finishing their business. Apart from killing people, what else could be done quickly for these ancient powerhouses? However, Feng Shengniao didn't show it on the surface. He had been collecting intelligence all year round and had long cultivated the ability to not show his emotions. So, at least on the surface, Feng Shengniao was focused on playing with his phone as soon as he got into the elevator. He didn't pay attention to Heavenly Venerable Pure Yin and Dongfang Yinxing at all. When they reached the floor where Feng Shengniao was, Feng Shengniao didn't pay attention to Heavenly Venerable Pure Yin and Dongfang Yinxing anymore. Instead, he walked out of the elevator with his two subordinates and walked toward Patriarch Hell and the others without looking back. Feng Shengniao knocked on the door of the room where Patriarch Hell, Patriarch Bloodcloak, and Patriarch Sinister Woods were. "Who is it?" Patriarch Sinister Woods' voice came from inside. Chapter 3161. "Oh, Wind Sage, you're here. Please come in." As he spoke, the door was opened, and Ancestor Eerie Woods welcomed the three people into the room. Wind Sage Bird greets Ancestor Netherworld, Ancestor Bloodcloak, and Ancestor Eerie Woods. After entering the room, the three people quickly bowed. "No need to be so polite, Wind Sage Bird. Has Eerie Woods told you the purpose of our visit?" Ancestor Netherworld waved his hand and asked. "Yes, he has." Wind Sage Bird nodded and quickly said, "Ancestor Eerie Woods asked us to investigate Lin Yi, but we saw something strange just now. It's also related to Lin Yi. Call him Master. Lin Yi will be the master of our Bloodcloth Underworld sect in the future. Do you hear me?" Ancestor Eerie Woods frowned and scolded. "Tell me, what news do you have about Master?" "Ah, yes." Although Wind Sagebird was puzzled as to how Lin Yi became the master of the Bloodcloth Underworld sect, he did not dare to ask. Seeing that the three ancestors had discussed this matter and tacitly agreed to it, how could he dare to have any objections? Hence, he quickly said, "It's like this. I saw the Pure Yin Heavenly Master of the everyday sect and the Dongfang family's Dongfang Yinxing outside the hotel just now. In the elevator, they mentioned Lin Yi. Then, Wind Sagebird repeated what he heard in the elevator to Ancestor Bloodcloak and the other two. Oh. So, according to you, it is very likely that these two people are here to deal with Lin Yi?" Bloodcloak Ancestor asked solemnly after listening to him. "Theoretically, that should be the case. I was afraid of alerting the enemy, so I didn't dare to ask more. However, the two of them appearing here should be about the same. It should be about the same." Wind Saint Bird analyzed. "Why don't I go and find out more?" "You're too weak. Don't go." Ancestor Bloodcloak waved his hand and said, "I'll go and find out myself." In fact, Feng Shengniao's strength was not low. He was a heaven stage middle stage expert. Of course, he was much weaker than Bloodcloak Ancestor and Yellow Spring Ancestor. Dongfang Yinxing and Pure Yin Heavenly Venerate were stronger than him, so it would be easy for him to be discovered if he went to spy on them. However, it would be different if Bloodcloak Ancestor went personally. After all, if a perfection heaven rank expert wanted to hide his strength and aura, unless it was someone like Lin Yi who had a golden finger, it would be impossible for someone weaker than him to find out. After saying that, Ancestor Bloodclothed opened the window and flew out. Because it was on the side of the hotel building, there was no one outside. However, no one saw Ancestor Bloodcloak. The Bloodcloak Ancestor easily found the room where Pure Yin Heavenly Venerate and Dongfang Yinxing were. The Bloodcloak Ancestor was like a Spider-Man as he leaned against the wall. He had heard everything clearly. However, to the great disappointment of the Bloodclothed Ancestor, he listened outside for half an hour, and there was nothing but the sound of the TV in the room. He didn't hear anything useful from Empyrean Pure Yang and Dongfang Yinxing's laughter. He listened for another half an hour or so. There was still nothing but laughter and TV in the room. The blood-clothed ancestor could only go back first. However, thinking about it, these two were experts at the peak of heaven rank. There was no need for any discussion or strategy to deal with an early heaven rank expert like Lin Yi. They just had to go out at night and do it. The time now was just boring waiting. In a place like the secular world where the spiritual energy of heaven and earth was sparse, they couldn't cultivate. What else could they do other than watch TV? Thinking of this, the blood-clothed ancestor didn't wait any longer and returned to his room. "How is it, Blood Cloak? Did you find out anything?" Seeing that the blood-clothed ancestor had returned, the Yellow Spring ancestor quickly asked. The blood-clothed ancestor shook his head and said, "They have been watching TV in the room and didn't say anything else. Let's watch at night and act according to the situation. That's the only way." The Yellow Spring ancestor nodded. Yellow Spring ancestor, blood-clothed ancestor, Yinsen ancestor, what should I do next? Feng Shengmiao asked. Next, you should take a rest first. You don't need to participate in tonight's matter. The blood-clothed ancestor thought for a while and said, "It will be enough for the three of us to take action at night." "Okay, then I will take my leave first," Feng Shengmiao said and left with his two subordinates. As for the Yellow Spring ancestor, blood-clothed ancestor, and Yinsen ancestor, they quietly waited for the evening to come in the room. At 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, Dongfang Yinxing and Pure Yin Heavenly Venerate did not move. The blood-clothed ancestor observed several times that they were watching TV in the room until 1 o'clock in the morning. Finally, they moved. Dongfang Yinxing and Pure Yin Heavenly Venerate walked out of the room and took the elevator out of the hotel to the parking lot. Then, they got into their car and slowly drove away from the Shueshong Business Hotel. Of course, with the strength of Dongfang Yinxing and Pure Yin Heavenly Venerate, there was no need for them to take a car to find Lin Yi. The purpose of them taking a car was probably to deceive others. Otherwise, it would be strange for the two of them to stroll outside in the middle of the night. However, the Yellow Spring ancestor, blood-clothed ancestor, and Yinsen ancestor didn't drive a car. They didn't even take the elevator. Instead, they jumped out of the hotel window and over the wall on the side of the hotel, following Dongfang Yinxing and Pure Yin Heavenly Venerate's car slowly. The car drove to the entrance of Lin Yi's villa and stopped. The Yellow Spring ancestor and the other two also hid themselves not far away.